What's good, man? Man, this fucking camera, bro, ain't never fucking with me, bro. It's never fucking with me. What up? Man, this is an impromptu stream, y'all. Like, this is definitely impromptu. I did not plan the stream. But I saw a clip. I saw a short. What's good, Bunny? What's good, Tron? I saw a short little clip on YouTube. So I was like, I need to watch all of this because I saw the direction it was going in. And the clip I saw was this girl, Tilly. For those that don't know, Tilly is a UK college student that goes to Cambridge. And she kind of went viral on social media for debating Charlie Kirk, where she dog walked him. Like, it's no question about who it was. If y'all don't know, like if y'all look up any of those videos of Charlie Kirk debating them kids at the UK at Cambridge University, yeah, it was a slaughter. And this girl Tilly was one of the popular people that like made him look stupid. He had everywhere he tried to go in the conversation, she dog walked him. And apparently Pearl, our favorite red pill queen, was reacting to it, and I guess she invited her on her show. And the clip Tilly had, Pearl was being just absurd. Like, I can't even, it was just the direction she decided to go in with their conversation. I couldn't believe it. So we're going to see how this debate goes, because it was like, it seemed like it was just finna be like another slaughter of intelligence versus intuition, I guess. Man.
Everybody can hear me? Okay.
I can hear you. How's it going, Tilly?
It's going great. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
it's really interesting that you agree.
On Tilly's page, but when I looked at the two, Tilly's quality was way too bad. Like, her quality was way too bad. So I'm sorry, Tilly, for not giving you. I sub to you, but yeah, this the quality. Buddy, just hang out, man. If you ain't doing nothing else, you can hang out.
Agreed with some of the things I said in the debate, even though we're ideologically probably super opposed, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know too much about you other than this debate. So you probably have seen some of my stuff, but I don't know how long you've been doing this, but yeah, it's been a couple. So you're at Oxford now? What time is it there? It's late, isn't it?
Oh, well, I go to Cambridge University, but yeah, it's pretty late here. It's 1:23 in the morning. I have like this huge Pepsi to keep me awake.
Okay, well, I'm glad you made it. Thanks so much for coming. So what got you into debates? Like, are you on the debate team there, or what's your background?
I started debating when I was about 17.
Okay.
And I ended up as a reserve for the national English team. And from there, I've debated kind of mostly informally. I haven't taken debate too seriously. And then when I debated Charlie Kirk, I started taking it a little bit more seriously, because that kind of blew up and I didn't expect it to blow up to that extent.
Okay, cool. Are you going to start a channel now or no?
Trying to start a YouTube channel. But I mean, you'll know, your guy had to talk me through how to even start this stream. So it's going to be a slow process. I'm terrible with tech.
Oh, I am too, actually. So it's no big deal. So can you give me a little overview of like your worldview? So you're a feminist. You believe in marriage. You don't believe in marriage. Women are oppressed, men are oppressed. Can you give me like a spark notes? Do you mind or no?
A spark notes. Yeah, sure. I think when you sent me a few of those claims, I was quite interested, because to me, they felt a little bit ambiguous. So for example, when you sent me the claim of asking me whether or not I believed in marriage, I was thinking, well, sure, I believe that marriage makes men happier, according to statistics. As we both kind of agree, the self-reported studies are a little bit flawed. But if we were to use self-reported studies, if we were to use that metric, marriage does make men happier. I also think that marriage as a contract between like a virgin and a rich guy is a little bit antiquated. In the same way that, for example, people getting married as a political alliance or out of obligation to people's family, I think those things are a little bit antiquated as well. I think that in terms of, if we want to think about who's more oppressed, men or women, I think that it's potentially a slight distraction from other issues. For example, I think that poor people are all oppressed, and I would never want to minimize like men's issues when it comes to being poor. But I think that overall, there are certain facts about being a woman that make it more difficult for us. existing in society, I would say. So I guess we can kind of delve deeper into it. I didn't necessarily prepare a summary of my worldview, but I think
that's all right. I mean, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. This isn't like a gotcha type thing. I'm just trying to have a conversation. So it kind of would help me to understand your worldview a little bit. When you come to conclusions about what you believe, do you go to studies first or what you see in the world? What comes first?
Think about how stupid of a question that is. When you think about the world, do you think about your personal experience first or what studies show you? Like, what type of weird ass question is that?
I mean, that's actually a really good question. I appreciate that question.
I think she's being cordial. That's a dumb question.
Silly to rely solely on either metric. If I solely said, well, based on my...
that's exactly why. It's just like, I think she was just trying to be nice because it's just like, obviously neither one you harp on 100%, but stats give you a broader idea of what's happening around the world that you don't, or your neighborhood or whatever, that you don't have personal access to in all times.
Personal experiences, I believe this thing, then I would have all kinds of incorrect beliefs, right? Because I have personal experiences that don't match up with what lots of other people's personal experiences might be. So I'm not going to solely rely on them, but at the same time, I'm not going to completely cast them aside. Because, for example, as a woman who's experienced being a woman, I'm not going to completely cast aside my anecdotal experiences there. At the same time, you know, I also think that studies are really important, but it depends who's conducted the study, it depends on the methodology behind the study. I mean, I'm a studies fan. I'm a bit of a nerd about that. I mean, part of my political science degree concerns like methodology surrounding studies, so...
Okay, so what comes first? If the study conflicts with your personal experience, what do you pick?
I think I'm always
like, what? This is an insight to how her brain works. So if your personal experience conflicts with studies, what did she say? What do you do? What do you
comes
pick?
First? If the study conflicts with your personal experience, what do you pick?
How much hubris can you have to think that, well, my personal experience is this, so the studies is wrong? Like, Pearl's brain probably actually works like that. Like, well, I ain't experienced it, so them studies don't know what they talking about. What?
I think I'm always open to being wrong. Okay. I think that the most important thing is that you can...
Pearl's not.
...falsify any claim.
Yeah, okay.
So...
Okay, because me personally, I go with what I can see in the world first. I do like studies, but I think the longer...
But only when they agree with me, that's when I'll actually cite them, is when they further prove my narrative.
You're in this industry, you see a lot of people funding them have agendas. Would you agree with that?
No, not a lot of... No, not... I don't even think most studies have an agenda. Yes, there's people with motives behind what they put out and say. And you have to take that into consideration when you look at them. Like, I'm not trusting an anti-abortion organizations when they put out statistics about abortion. I'm like, you know, I don't know how I feel about that. So it's just like, you got to take all that stuff into consideration.
I think the longer you're in this industry, you see a lot.
There's objective numbers that's just out there, and objectivity, like science, and maybe the side effects of abortion, or the side effects of C-sections, or the pros and cons of adoption. Like, all that shit needs to be taken in consideration, and it depends on who's giving it to you, how serious you take it. What's good, Rasta?
A lot of people funding them have agendas. Would you agree with that?
To some extent, yeah.
Okay.
I think, for example, you have think tanks. I mean, organizations like Turning Point USA that want to promote traditional values or disseminate certain conservative ideas across college campuses. When they come out with a study about how actually the evils of birth control, I might take a little pause and question it there. In the same way as if you have this super liberal institution that says something about how some people are like ultra perfect and ultra happy like all the time, and that feminism can do no wrong, and that all women are like saints. Obviously, I'm going to call that into question, but I think that's a little bit less. I think that's a little bit less likely, but I'm sure that you might disagree with that.
Okay. So why don't we tackle marriage first, and we can kind of go back and forth about where we agree, where we disagree, and then cool. Okay, so you believe in marriage or you don't believe in marriage?
Can I just qualify that question and ask what you mean? I don't want to pull a Jordan Peterson, but like, what do you mean by believe?
What do you think is the purpose of marriage?
Notice how she had to clarify, because the first question was weird as well. Do you believe in marriage? It's just like a weird question. That's why she had to clarify. And then Pearl end up asking a totally different question. What do you think marriage is? What did she say? What do you think it is?
I don't want to pull a Jordan Peterson, but like, what do you mean by believe?
What do you think is the purpose of marriage?
The purpose, yeah, that's a totally different question. What is the purpose of marriage is totally different. Do you believe in marriage? And that's why it's just like, what the fuck? That was a stupid question.
Good question. I think the purpose of marriage is some kind of partnership where both of you are a team, and in the process of becoming a team, you have certain legal protections enforced.
Okay, cool. What do you think a woman gets out of marriage?
It kind of depends on all kinds of factors, right? Like, I believe that marriage is something that is like super intersubjective because it concerns relationships. Like, we can make broad sweeping statements about what it means for a woman to be married, what it means for a man to be married. I think women can get quite a lot from marriage. I think, generally speaking, though, men tend to get a bit more. And the evidence that I have for that is that married men, according to the CDC, they live about 8 to 17% longer than unmarried men. And
you attribute that to marriage.
I think there are probably confounding factors like financial stability that comes from marriage.
Well,
but it's also true that people...
Right. I think it's financial stability. I think when you have a partner that is checking in on your health, making you be more diligent about checking on your health, you probably have more a sense of belonging when you got a wife and kids that you have to look over. You probably have a stable job that you want to stay healthy for. It's a lot of factors that play into you probably living longer within a marriage versus if you're single. I'm not saying you just throw caution to the wind and don't care about your health, but you don't have that push to make sure you stay healthy, whether it be for your kids or your wife actually being proactive about you staying on top of your health. So obviously there's other factors, but it's not like married equals longer lifespan. Obviously there's things that factor into that, but Pearl don't give a fuck about none of that.
Work together and have a relationship and get married.
Let's go with what you see in the real world. Like, you're in college.
See, like, look how she brings up statistics that are like factual amongst millions of people and studies that have accounted for outliers and stuff like that, and just a large number of people. She said, well, let's just talk about what you experience and what you know. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this woman?
You see your friends who they go for, right? Who they're interested in maybe marrying someday. Dating, they're selecting for romantic relationships. Wouldn't you say that they select guys that are in shape?
Pearl finna say. So people that are in shape those are the only people that get married. I'm sure we all know plenty of overweight folks that are married and happy. Like, come the fuck on. Why is she pretending like only the most healthiest and the most attractive of those in the world are the only people that's married? Only the supermodels, male and female, and in shape people are married. Yeah. Pearl, is that what you're going to say? Are you going to argue that only the most fit and the most attractive of us are married out there? Big people get married all the time.
Like, just in general? Like,
no, I would never.
The in-shape guy is going to get more dates than the 300-pound guy.
What does dates have to do with being married? What does getting dates have to do with who gets married, Pearl? Please put that connection.
I think a 300-pound woman is probably going to have the same experience on the dating market.
I agree. But so for me, I wouldn't really attribute men living longer to marriage. I think fit men are chosen. And I think a lot of times, like...
Shit, I think fit men are chosen. Pearl, you're pretending like only fit people get married.
The conservative, and I'm actually going to go at the conservatives. Okay. I think a lot of times they're trying to sell marriage, and so they attribute everything good about a person to marriage. Would you agree? Disagree?
What do you mean by that?
So, like, they'll say that someone's happier because they're married, but happy people are selected for marriage. Who wants to marry a downer, right? They'll say that people live longer because they're married. And I think it's because they're fit. People pick fit people.
It's not because they're married. It's because there's more incentive for them to keep up with their health within a marriage. Like, I already explained this.
That makes more sense to me.
What's good, Wise?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can necessarily measure this in the way that you think, just because intuitively, when I think about the United States, correct me if I'm wrong, but the obesity rate is extremely high in the United States. Something like 1 in 3 people are obese. So I don't think... And that would imply to me that most obese people are not being chosen, but that would also mean that like one third of people in the United States are like not getting married on the basis of the fact that they're fat.
Well, the thing is, women pull the fat plug after they get married. So on average, women
like gain weight.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, women on average, women gain 25 pounds in the first 5 years of marriage.
Notice how she only loves statistics when they help her narrative. It's always statistics. If you got stats that go against what I say, I don't care. I'm going to bring up an anecdote. But when it's a statistic that I've memorized that helps my narrative, oh, yeah, I got that in the tuck, and I'm going to spit them at you.
Which maybe at one point...
On average, women get pregnant, and the average weight that you gain when you're pregnant is like 22 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, but I just reject that you have to.
I lose weight when I'm in a relationship. You be stressed out.
I had 9 kids.
You gotta gain weight when you're pregnant.
Well, you can lose it after. So yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So, I
That's
mean,
true.
my mom ran a marathon 6 months pregnant. She
I
has
don't give a fuck about what your mom did.
like 10 of us. So
It also kind of depends on how your pregnancy goes, right? Like, I know people who've had emergency C-sections where they've been in this emergency situation where their child might pass away. So what's had to happen is they've been put under anesthetic, and that baby's been removed from them very quickly. There's not that much room for precision in the surgical process, that kind of thing. And the recovery process is much longer. So it would take like more like 3 years for that.
Damn. So I never knew. I need to look into that. Like, if like emergency C-sections are more I guess stressful than like planned ones, I guess, because she's saying emergency. She specifically said emergency. In my mind, I would think that whether it's emergency or not, the process should look the same. But she's saying emergency is like it's a lot more that goes into it. That's kind of fucked up. I didn't know that. I mean, I guess there's so much less time to plan. Like, you can't do the whole numbing and well, I'm not gonna say you can't do the numbing. I don't know, but yeah, if emergency C-sections are worse than regular, that's fucked up. Then planned, I should say. That's fucked up.
Where they've been in this emergency situation where their child might pass away. So what's had to happen is they've been put under anesthetic, and that baby's been removed from them very quickly. There's not that much room for precision in the surgical process, that kind of thing. And the recovery process is much longer. So it would take like more like 3 years for that woman to lose weight after that kind of situation.
I understand.
People.
I just don't like excuses.
That's fucked up. And what is it? What? This woman talking about emergency C-sections and how you're in a worse situation having an emergency C-section, and that could contribute to weight gain. And this motherfucker just said, I don't make excuses. Oh no, oh Bunny, that's terrible. And I'm guessing that was a typo. You said I almost bled out, but you said your best friend went in for emergency. I'm guessing the I was a typo. Her and the baby was so stressed and she was awake. Damn. I think, ain't you supposed to be awake even in a planned C-section? Don't they stay awake?
I don't like
It's
them.
not really an excuse.
It is.
It's just what happens, right? Like, if women get an emergency surgery.
And she said it is. How is an emergency C-section an excuse?
Where they're cut open across their entire stomach area, then the chances are it's going to take longer for them to gain weight than a woman who's had a natural birth with no complications.
I don't think there's any nuance.
Well, like, can you hear this? Like, imagine Pearl is saying, like, somebody that had a stressful emergency surgery that's probably bedridden for a long time. There's no excuse for her gaining weight. This motherfucker is evil. Okay, but then I didn't know you could put under for a C-section. I thought they was awake. I thought they just like numbed you when it's planned. I thought they numbed you.
I think if you got to eat less, and that's it. And I used to be pretty overweight.
I don't even think she's listening. I think she's just getting her talking points out. There's no way she's hearing what this woman is saying and actually responding to it.
So I can say that firsthand. You know?
But have you been pregnant?
No, but I know people that have, and they got thin after.
We all know people that's been pregnant, bro.
I know people with really bad pregnancies. So I don't think it's an excuse.
No, see what I'm saying? Fuck the reality. Fuck the statistics that most people that may have C-sections have longer recovery time. And she's like, it's just, this is insane.
That it takes longer for people to lose baby weight if they have a traumatic birth. And that's not an excuse. That's just a fact.
Stupidity, Chris.
Well, it can, but I would still say that's an excuse.
Okay, why?
Because there's people that don't. There's people that let things that make excuses, and there's people that don't and just lose the weight and eat less.
Well, it's not an excuse.
Right, bro. Like, that's the thing. Like, Pearl is so stupid and it's so blatantly obvious that it's just 2 million. She got the 2 million subs off the short. She gamed the system for her sub. That girl ain't gained subs in like 2 years. So it's obvious that she got her following, but it's like, bro, like, if I just got on here and said the dumbest shit ever, we would be rolling in dough, bro. We just need to make this transition. Bunny, Chris, y'all know what's really good, bro. Y'all know how we really is. So when we make this stupid switch turn on, we just trying to get paid, bro.
Excuse if some people aren't necessarily doing that thing. I think that's not what qualifies an excuse.
Well,
An excuse is like an unrelated reason as to why something happens. I think there's a direct correlation or a causal link between women taking longer to like gain weight, to lose weight, after having a traumatic birth. I
would just say put the donut down.
What do you mean put the donut down? This person is bedridden because they're healing. Why are you talking about put a donut down?
That's it. So, okay.
Are you like seeing that this sounds insane? Or...
She don't even feel like she's talking to a person. She said, "You don't feel like this is insane?"
So, okay.
Are you like seeing that this sounds insane?
Not really. That you eat less and lose weight? No.
No, obviously to lose weight you eat less,
okay.
but also you also have to move more, and it's really difficult to move more if you've had an emergency C-section and you're bedbound for like 6 to 7 months.
1,200 calories. You'll still lose weight.
What the fuck is?
Most people. Okay, but I want to.
It's still a slow process. And
right,
also,
so
like,
I want
to
go back to, because we're just going to go back and forth. You think it's okay for them to stay fat? I don't, so it's fine. All right, so what?
You think it's okay for them to stay fat? I don't. When did she say it's okay to stay fat? Please, Pearl, show me where she said it's okay to stay fat.
What do women get out of marriage? Well, I don't. If you answered the question, I can't remember what you said. So forgive me if you did. If you can maybe make in a few sentences, what do they get out of it?
I think that both men and women get benefits from marriage, and there are not.
We'll go into men's, but I just want, when I ask you a question about women, I want to stick to the women, and then we can do men later.
Sure.
Watch this sound familiar, don't it? Do women have the final say so?
I think, are you asking me in terms of benefits? Do you mean legal protections, for example?
We could go legal protections. Anything that you think they get out of marriage, it could be legal.
Right, Chris.
It could be emotional, whatever comes to your head.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the first thing that I'll qualify is I don't think that marriage is necessarily be all and end all in terms of having a happy and fruitful family, but I do think that women who get married, they do experience legal protections in society,
PTSD.
and that those legal protections are probably a good thing when it concerns children. So, for example, let's say two people just cohabit. Like a man and a woman are in a relationship and they have a child, but on paper, they're single. What that means is that a custody battle is going to be a lot more difficult for them because they don't have the legal channels through which to navigate that. And I think women are likely to suffer a little bit more in that regard, just insofar as, like, you might agree with me on a bioessentialist premise that women are more nurturing and have had more of an attachment to their child. So you can even go with that.
I actually don't agree, but we could actually talk about it later because I'll write down nurturing so I remember to go back if you want to talk about it.
You don't think women are naturally more?
You know, she finna say that women are more violent than men because they kill old people and children the most. God, it's stupid. Like she's the perfect personification of bastardizing statistics.
The men.
Oh hell no! But we can go back to it later. So let's start with legal.
Interesting to me.
Oh hell no!
But y'all.
Okay, let's
wait,
start
first
legal.
of all, Chris and Rasta, what y'all on, man? I don't know what Chris mean. Rasta, I see what you say. Pearl isn't even like no
protections. Anything else? Do women get out of marriage?
I mean, not like
y'all on the same shit. That's crazy.
An ultra proponent of marriage. I just think it's like
totally fine.
It's a bit of a value neutral thing, and I think overall men are going to benefit a little bit more.
No,
okay, so how do men benefit from marriage?
Men tend to live longer, and also something like, I think there was this US survey, and like we say, self-reporting studies are flawed, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, more married men report being very happy with life compared to unmarried men. So they're more likely to probably experience happiness in a marriage. You can talk about correlation type of factors, but at the same time, I think we can both agree that being in a long-term stable relationship.
Rasta, the fuck? Was she like in the back? She might pack in the cat. I've never seen that in my life. Fuck Pearl, but that's a bar. I never seen that before in my life.
Relationship probably leads to the fact that you feel a little bit more happy about yourself, and you feel a little bit more happy about the fact that you're working in a team and that you're, collaborating with someone to build something really nice and beautiful, which is a wonderful relationship you have together. So, okay, I mean, we can start there.
Shit, I forgot. Y'all both in the Carolinas, Rasta and Watch. Y'all in the Carolinas.
I think men live longer and are happier because of being attached to a woman, essentially. Like, isn't that?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily pin it on the fact that I wouldn't credit women for it. I would credit partnership for it. I don't think that I'm not that person who's going to say, it's all down to women when men are that happy. I think there are loads more factors than just their relationships that make someone happy. I would never deny that. But what I would say is, in a partnership, in a loving partnership, in a long-term partnership that is happy and mutual and reciprocal, where you share burdens like on an egalitarian basis, then you're probably going to be happy. So maybe the question is it the case that marriage makes people happy, or is it the case that good marriage makes people happy? I'm not one of those people who has particularly strong views about marriage. That's fine.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I would say that happiness is a skill.
I've always kept my distance from crazy ass women. I just that is not my move.
And I think it's your own problem to make yourself happy. And a lot of people go into a relationship and try to make it somebody else's problem. I think that happy people are selected for relationships. Have you ever met somebody that's super negative? Who wants to date them? Right? I mean, who wants to date that?
I think it's also the case.
I don't even know what that means. I've heard happy people are selected for relationships. I mean, if that's the case, well, I'm not going to say she's making this claim, but you would think that if it's just solely about being a happy person, that half of relationships and marriages wouldn't fail. If being happy necessarily meant anything, I don't know why she's saying that. Like, simply being happy doesn't mean, I don't even know what that means. I don't think she does either.
Like minds attract one another. So often you're probably not going to have someone who's super happy all the time date someone who's a downer, but you have people date each other who are both downers and kind of both have this horrible life together.
Chris,
so my opinion would be that marriage is a
message.
bad deal for men because men are expected to give their emotional, their physical, their money.
Shout out to the 12 people in the chat. Make sure y'all like us. Like the stream, man.
To women, and they get nothing in return. When they do get married, they give their emotional, their physical, their money to women, and they get nothing in return.
Why does she act like men are just these perfect beings and women just a trash human? Why should women exist, Pearl, if everything they do is wrong, if they can't ever do anything right? Like, I feel like it would fucking drain every bit of her soul to say women are like good at something or beneficial in society in some way. Why are you saying men do all these things and women give nothing in return? What the fuck are you talking about?
When they do get married, they tend to get, I'm going to tell you my opinion, then you can go, okay? And then they get a woman who nags. On average, she gains 25 pounds. She'll leave them half the time. So I would say, why should a man get married? And if you give me an answer, please, I would prefer it not be something like happiness or...
Wait, Bunny, what you talking about?
Living longer that we can't really prove came from the marriage itself. Go ahead.
Sure. I think it's an interesting claim because there are so many factors that kind of go outside of this. Like, is it the issue that it's to do with getting married, or is it that men are in a relationship with women? Because what I'm hearing is you can probably ascribe all of the issues that you ascribe to being married to also just a man being in a long-term relationship with a woman. So is it the marriage that qualifies it as something that's a miserable deal for men, or is it a relationship with a woman? And insofar as it's just a relationship with a woman, are you advocating that men stop being in relationships with them?
Okay, so...
Like you just said, Tron, like, why fucking date in the first place if women are just useless? All they do is take. They don't give anything. Why even advocate people date at all?
I don't tell men what to do.
And then she always says this stupid I don't tell men what to do. Yeah, I sit on my show every fucking day and trash women and say that marriage isn't a good deal and I don't know why men would get married. But
the challenge you get with marriage is women get the legal protections. And what happens when women get legal protections is they just tend to not be too great with it. They automatically then have the leverage in the relationship. Like the stream. And there are some ways that men are really not protected legally. Like for
Chris sake, Pearl will catch you in the act of cheating and then apologize for it.
For example, in California, if a man signs the birth certificate and the kid, he finds out at the age of 5 that the kid isn't his, which is a really sad experience for a guy. I know men that have gone through that where they thought,
bro, don't nobody care. We all have sob stories of friends and people we know that have been through some bullshit. Like, that's irrelevant to the overall picture. And why aren't you putting any responsibility on the man? The man could be on the hook for a child that's not his. Motherfucker, if you unsure, you get a paternity test at some point. Period, point blank. Like, stop acting like men are, you're taking away all agency from men.
Thought the child was
like somebody else I know. Fuck.
He still has to pay child support on it. I've gone through that where they thought the child was theirs and it wasn't, right?
Yeah, and if you're unsure, you need to get a paternity test because if you're unsure, you're probably not with the person. Most men aren't married or in a serious relationship and get a girl pregnant and be like, is it mine? Like, I don't, like, that's not normal. I'm not saying women don't do dirt, but it's just not the norm. If you unsure the baby, you unsure, and then you get a test and shit.
He still has to pay child support on it. I think that's bullshit, right?
Like, you're acting like that's just this real issue, like men can't get a paternity test.
I know men that are paying alimony to women that are destroying their lives actively. And so the challenge is, I'm gonna finish and then I'm gonna let you go, okay? So the challenge is when you get into marriage, you're getting the state involved. And a lot of women, we can show the worst parts of ourselves when in romantic relationships. I mean, we had...
But men do that too. Why does, this is not gendered. What the fuck?
For example, pop songs talking about keying a guy's car. You're younger than me. So
Girl, you finna name one song as if men haven't been denigrating women in music for decades. What the fuck? They're talking about women. First of all, the fact that your best example is keying a car is insane. It ain't about murdering. It ain't about beating up. Men have been talking about putting their hands on women for decades. Men have been talking about doing things to underage children, underage women, kids, underage people in music for years. Like, can we stop, Pearl? This is stupid. This is a bad example. Talking about, for example, songs about king cars. What the fuck? That's the best you could come up with?
you might not remember, but there's like a Carrie Underwood song where she's literally,
I know.
yeah. And so, you know, female spite is real. And now you are allowing.
Spite's a feeling that people have.
And what do men do when they spiteful? They kill people. Like, men beat up women. Women key cars. They burn clothes. They pull out shoelaces. They break your PS5. Men will put their hands on women and kill people over spite. Like, come the fuck on. Now, none of this is acceptable behavior, but let's not act like the shit that women do to be spiteful is equivalent to the shit that men do when they're spiteful. Like, stop it.
Specific to women, how is female spite? How does that outweigh male spite? For example, when men get angry,
I can go into that later, but I'm going to finish this thought.
Because I can't argue it, that's why.
Women can legally destroy men. And men don't have that option generally, unless they get a specific type of judge. But just usually they're not going to get custody of their kids. They're not going to be able to put the woman on child support. I would say men tend to be benevolent with women, and women are not benevolent the other way around. Go ahead.
So how many men are legally destroying women through things like alimony, if you have to quantify it?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. Last I checked, it was.
Women can go that extreme, but generally they don't. Women don't. For the most part, when they are spiteful, they don't kill people. I'm not saying they don't happen, but more often than not, men are more violent to be. If we're gonna talk about spite, there's more men. I mean, we know that men are more violent than women generally. So, like, when there are women that do get violent, but it's more likely that men will get violent than women when they're spiteful.
It was 10% of less than 10% of alimony payments around were from women to men.
Come on, Tron, knowing this stat.
Okay, so what the facts look like is that about 10 to 15% of any divorce in the US involves any kind of spousal support. So we're already talking about a minority of situations where spousal support, including alimony and child support.
Right, but why would you put yourself at that risk?
What risk? What risk? Like, can we stop? Like, why put yourself at a risk to make a YouTube channel? You could spend a lot of time to not gain anything from it. Like, what are we talking about, bro? And then on top of that, if it's that big of a risk to you, most men ain't making that much money more than their wife to where this is a huge problem, where they're gonna take half from you or whatever the fuck you be talking about. If you're that not risk adverse, then do a fucking prenup, period. That's end of story. The conversation's over. You get you a prenup and that's it.
I think is my point. Like, that's just an extra, even if it's 10%.
Exactly. She never talks about prenups when it solves all these problems she brings up, because she wouldn't have anything to talk about. That's why Pearl avoids prenups at all costs. I don't even know if she's ever said that word.
You know, if there was a pill that's had a 10% chance of killing me, I wouldn't take that pill. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't take that pill. This is not the fucking same. Like, you're a pill that kills you versus the possibility of having to share your money. It's not the fucking same.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm good. Well,
and on top of that, you have that control before you even get into the marriage.
Maybe use examples of, you know, men that have took the risk and it didn't really work out for them.
I think most people don't even bring it up though, because people feel like, oh, I can't. I think people are scared to talk about prenups. But honestly, if any man, I think unless you have extraordinary wealth and you bring somebody into that, the reason that they look at marriage as such this one-sided thing is because they don't really people are, including like men and people like Pearl, don't really realize what women give up and go through in those situations. Typically, prenups and alimony is given to people that have given up something to have a lifestyle, to have a family with somebody. Alimony isn't given just because two people get married. If we both make $60,000 a year, we get married and we get divorced. I don't like keep everything I have and take half of yours. It don't work like that. That's not what's happening. It's usually a man bringing somebody like. You get married, y'all been together 15 years, she's been out of work, and then I've made all this money, and now we're divorced. I can't just throw her out on the street, and she just gave me 15 years of her life without working, and we have kids that she raised, and now she's just assed out. As somebody, if you accumulated wealth with that woman, you should not even have a second thought of her being okay after the fact. Even if it ends bad, I'm sorry. Like she gave up a big chunk of her life. You shouldn't feel like you can't owe her anything after the fact if she's giving you so much of her time in her life, especially if she gave up a career. Usually if they don't give up a career and they made good money, you don't be paying alimony for real if they can sustain themselves. But usually alimony is about people that can sustain themselves. And the only reason you do child support is because they got the kid, so they have more of a burden. So yes, you're supposed to pay whoever has the kid is the one that gets the money. And men, when you do fight for custody, more often than not you get it. But when they don't, it's because they know they can continue to make more money. And women are just like, well, I might have to just make less money, but I'm gonna raise my child because I kind of have to in a sense because he's not gonna do it. So it's a lot that goes into it that people don't consider.
Rather not you give me examples, I'd rather you quantify it in some capacity.
Well, it kind of sucks because I'm going to. So sorry. So
it ain't that simple, Chris. You can't just prenups can't just be mandatory because if a woman gives up her career when she gets married, if it ends, I don't believe anybody, men and women, but it's more often women, men and women both. If you give up your time and career and what you could have accumulated over time if you continue working, you're entitled to something if that marriage don't work, if that person was supplementing your lifestyle. Like you get some, I don't think you should just be asked out because your whole life has been veered in a direction it could have not been in if you had been married. I don't think that person should just leave and be asked out. I don't agree with that at all.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy
that goes both ways.
That's
why Mary J. Blige, people like Mary J. Blige, and probably Halle Berry, I think recently, I don't know for a fact with Halle, but Mary J. Blige, they got to pay alimony to their husbands. Like, it just makes sense.
In Texas, he had his kid legally transitioned against his will.
Yeah, that's not quantifying it. That's still an individual example. So if you can quantify it. So for example, if I said to you, this is a fact, 400,000 people in the US receive alimony.
Oh, okay.
That's quantifying.
I actually have.
You see how Pearl wants to avoid statistics when they heard her argument? She's like, yeah, I could give you a story about this guy that had a bad circumstance. She's like, yeah, 400,000 people pay alimony in America. That's not a lot. Like, this is just such not a real issue.
The numbers on this. Give me a second to pull it up. It's in a different Google Doc, but I can pull it up. But here, keep going, and I'll listen to your thoughts.
Here's a case that I'll make.
Okay.
It's quite a simple one. 400,000 people in the US are receiving alimony. About 3% of those people are men. That's a very low number. 40% of households have female breadwinners. So that suggests that basically, you're right, hundreds of thousands of men can get alimony, but they don't receive it. Now, if I said to you, I don't have a six-pack, and then you asked me, do you work out? And I said, no. Am I being oppressed? Or do I just organically not have a six-pack? What I would say is that rights in liberal societies have to be asserted to be realized. Courts are not mind readers. Just like a job you don't apply for is not going to be offered to you, a legal benefit you don't request is not going to be rewarded. It's not going to be awarded to you. So what I would say is if a man is not asking for alimony and fighting for alimony.
Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. But that goes back to my point that men are benevolent. So when they get leverage, they don't tend to ruin their wives' lives. So yeah,
it's more so because they would feel emasculated by.
So out of 100,
receiving money from a woman.
Yeah. So out of 100 marriages, let's see.
Yeah, Chris. Sometimes if you got so much money, it's like I just give you whatever, so I ain't got to deal with a headache.
50 stay married.
Granted, Kim got a lot of bread, but as a man, if you do feel some sense of responsibility though. I don't get why they present it like you're not supposed to give them shit as if they were useless to you during your marriage. That's ridiculous to me. Even if you end on bad terms, you cared about this person at some point to marry them, and they gave you a large part of their life. You shouldn't just be like, fuck you, you don't get shit because it ends. That don't make sense to me. And I know that people probably feel that way after ending a relationship, but to me it's kind of inhumane. Like, I don't know. Like, I heard recently I've been hearing, like, the person, I think it was Cardi B said it, which was, say what you want about Cardi B. I feel like it was really insightful. She said, when you get married, when you get divorced, you feel like you're divorcing somebody that you didn't marry. So like, that can happen, not in all instances, but like the person you're divorcing isn't even the person you married sometimes. So when shit gets that ugly, I get the feeling of, maybe I don't want to give you shit because of how you've behaved recently leading up to this divorce. But at the same time, there was a point that wasn't the case.
So 15 of those divorces are obscenely malicious on the part of the wife towards the husband. Child alienation, let's see, 50 stay married. So 15 of those divorces are obscenely malicious on the part of the wife towards the husband. Child alienation, financial ruin, otherwise known as a punitive divorce. 27.5 of those is that the man pays woman a lot of money when she can support herself and get moderately frequent contact with the kids. Still tough, but not malicious. So that's out of 100 divorces. That's going to be...
That's 100 divorces?
No, out of, like, that's, if there's 100 divorces, that's like the percentage.
Where is these stats? Like, she just read off shit, which sounds like a very biased reading of statistics. Like, she didn't even say what the source was. She just started reading off shit. It's how she put this in GPT. What's some good arguments for somebody that's saying that divorce is bad for men? Like that, like whatever the fuck. That she just read off some shit and didn't say where.
So 15 out of 100 are going to be obscenely malicious.
What is this from?
Meaning the guy can't see his kids, or he's going to be fighting for custody. 27.5 is that the man...
Fighting for custody, it doesn't necessarily mean something's obscenely malicious.
Tilly not finna fucking ask
There
where
are
this
all
came
kinds
from.
of reasons as to why someone might fight for custody. Like, have to fight for custody. Or why someone might reasonably think that they don't want someone to have custody over their children.
Came from, bro.
Right, but do you really have such a negative opinion of men that you think 15 out of 100 don't deserve to see their kids? Is that your opinion of men? Like, that negative?
No, but I think that in family courts, when men do fight for custody, they win 60% of the time. So where's the bias?
Yeah, okay, so the reason, do you know why that is? Like, why men don't fight for custody?
Because oftentimes there's not really enough evidence for them to make a compelling case.
No,
In order to fight for custody,
that's not why. So
I think men don't fight for custody often because they don't want full custody. I think they want the wife or the mother of their child to have full custody, and then they want to be able to get their kids when they want to. These people love to pretend like men is just chomping at the bit to have their kids full time when they get a divorce. I don't think that most men that get a divorce be like, I want my kid full time, and then you get them when you want to. They don't want to do that shit. Stop lying. Men are, and I'm not saying none exist, of course. I know one of my closest friends, he fought to get his kids full time, and guess what? He did do it. So it's just like, I'm of course this is anecdotal, but there's a world where if you fight, you could get it. But regardless, most men are probably like, shit, if I get my kid full time, I can't work as much, or I gotta pay for school or daycare, and that's gonna cut into the money I make, and I need money to survive, and blah blah blah, and all that shit. And men don't want to do that. Men don't want to have to apply for Link on their own. They don't want to have to apply for LIHEAP and shit. They don't want to have to apply for Medicaid. They don't want to be on no government assistance or nothing. If they making good money, they want to keep making good money. And if they have a kid full time, that's going to cut into their money that they make. So they be like, all right, she get the kid and I'll get him when I get him. That's how I think that's how a lot of men think if they get divorced.
The challenge, but see, the challenge I'm getting is, I know you're about to spew a bunch of stuff, and I know you don't know what you're talking. And I don't mean this to be rude, but you just haven't done the interviews, and you haven't, like, I would really.
What the fuck your interviews mean? Your interviews is the people you talk to, the people you actually selectively choose to talk to at that. Like, that's the thing. She acts like she does these random surveys across millions of people when Pearl goes out of her way to selectively handpick men that have had terrible divorces and terrible relationships and be like, yeah, let me interview you so you can tell me, and act like this is the story of most people. Give me a fucking break.
Be surprised.
I don't think that doing an interview makes me more qualified.
Right, but
I can interview any random guy off the street. I don't think it makes me more or less qualified. I think what makes me qualified is the fact that I've done the research.
Okay.
And
See, Pearl's not listening at all. She's just like, yeah, okay, well, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So, okay, how much? Okay. How much does it cost for a guy to fight for custody of his kids?
legal fees are expensive for everybody.
Okay. But
it costs a lot for a woman to fight for custody too.
Okay, but when I'm going to start with the men, and then we can talk about the women later.
What do you mean? It would be the same. It's not like if a man has to pay us a lot more.
It's tough to have a conversation when, you're trying to make a point. And we're always going to bring it back to the other gender, right? But for men, what is the average?
Coexist in society. You can't isolate one group of people.
How much?
Solely about the effects on one group.
What is the average amount? You said you did the research, so do you know the answer to this question? How much does it cost to fight for custody?
I don't know.
Okay, so you haven't, and that's fine. This isn't a gotcha.
I've done the research. Okay, legal fees are expensive everywhere.
So it's about $30,000 a year, or $30,000 to fight for custody. And the challenge you get is a lot of these men get really screwed.
It's fighting for custody.
A lot of these men are screwed because they're working average jobs, and so a lot of the men that get screwed are blue collar men. And so these are guys that make $35,000, $45,000, $55,000 a year. And a lot of times the women will
35 a year as a man with kids is kind of crazy. I'm not judging anybody, but just come on now. Come on now. 35,000 a year as a man with kids is probably not really a thing. I'm not saying it ain't at all a thing, but come on now. Yeah, Sandra, she's back at it again, getting smacked around by another blonde.
Empty the bank accounts first, and they're kicked out of their house, and so they don't have the money to fight for custody. And a lot of lawyers will tell them not to even fight because the court process is going to take so many years, and they just don't have the money.
What I would ask you is a really simple question.
It's just, yeah.
Which is, are legal fees solely exclusive to one gender?
Exactly. Like, what if we agree that men on average make more than women, ain't they the ones that's more likely to be able to afford to fight for custody than the woman? Like, what the fuck?
No, but the challenge is you have women's shelters that have they have programs that pay for women.
What? First of all, she looked up like that because she's lying. What do you mean pay for women? Shelter, I'm not going to make a definitive statement that it doesn't exist, but I feel like if you're just talking about when you say shelter, that just sounds like domestic violence. And if that is a shelter that she's referring to, what do you mean pay for women? You think that women are just there's somewhere that women could go to just get legal fees paid for to get custody? Like, on its face? I'm not saying it don't happen, but what? Chill, bunny.
So if you look up like men's shelters, so if you I know, but
should have mutual custody over their children with their
Pearl's not even, she's not listening to what this woman's saying whatsoever. She's not listening. She's trying to talk and she's like, yeah.
I understand where you're coming from, right? I understand that's what you would think, that if a woman's going to
Exactly, Sandra. I said, I don't know if you was here when I said it. When men try to fight for their kids, they get them. And like you said, they'll bitch and moan about not seeing their kids, but they don't try.
Abused shelter, right? That something bad happened. But the challenge is when men are abused.
Something bad happened. And then she said when men are abused. Notice she said women that go to shelters, yes, something bad happened. But when men are abused, she didn't even say when women are abused. Like, what is wrong with your brain? Now, part of me believes that she believes this shit for real because she processed a woman being abused as something bad happened. But when men are abused, they don't have a shelter. Like, what are we talking about, bro? If there's one-sided abuse where the woman is putting hands on that man, not excusing it, but he is never at any point of that abuse feeling like he needs to go to a shelter for refuge. Like, that's just not, even if it's one-sided and she's doing it, his plan of action isn't to go to a shelter to hide from her. Because if he wanted to, he could end it probably with one strike. So I don't know why she's pretending like now. Pearl's so bought into this stupid narrative that now she's pretending that women have more physical dominance over men. Like, this is the horseshoe shit. You're so fucking extreme that you don't know how much you've jumped to the other side of what you really think you're fighting for. Now you're trying to pretend like women have physical dominance over men. Jesus.
Right? That something bad happened. But the
let's hear this. I'm about to talk to her.
Over their children with
so I do understand where you're coming from, right? I understand that's what you would think, that if a woman's going to an abused shelter, right, that something bad happened. But the challenge is when men are abused, there's no shelters for them to go to. It's like,
why do he need to go to there? Like, if he really feared for his life, he probably could end that quicker than she could end it.
Because men are much less likely to be abused by women.
That's actually not true. That's not true. So if you look at most abusive cases, they're beating each other. It's just like we said earlier, people with similar traits, they kind of find each other, right? You agree with that?
Yeah, hit that like button,
most of the time when people
that doesn't necessarily mean that people who are abusers flock towards one another.
Okay.
People with similar traits might flock to one another, but people who want to beat the shit out of their partner or not, it's oftentimes the opposite.
I spoke to that. But
you notice every time she tries to rebuttal, she keeps trying to shut her up and will not let her talk.
Here's what I know you don't know, and so
crazy.
I spoke to Erin Pizzi. She started. Erin Pizzi. She founded the first men's shelter in London.
This isn't a conversation. You just trying to fucking filibuster with all your stupid anecdotes.
And she also ran a bunch of women's shelters. She's an expert when it comes to domestic abuse. And from her, you could look her up, right? From her mouth, most abusive people, they just find each other. So,
bro, she long story short, she goes to Cambridge University in the UK, and she got popped off because she debated Charlie Kirk and she shitted on him. It was one-sided. She made him look really stupid because she was just equipped to debate Charlie Kirk, and she got a big name, and so she's been doing the rounds on some bigger channels because she like had a real big viral moment by making Charlie Kirk look like a complete idiot.
Okay, from Karen's mouth. Well, if it's from Karen's mouth, then I mean, what are we to say?
Right, look at this random person. Pearl's like, yeah, from this person's mouth. You know, this is what they said. So this is what I'm running with.
So let's look at the facts, right? Based on psychology.
The most abuse. Look, I'm allowing you to come on my show. I'm going to let you go, but you got to let me finish, okay? Most abuse is mutual. When it comes to one-sided abuse.
Yeah, I mean, but no, Charlie Kirk is bigger in his sphere than he is worldwide. So when Charlie Kirk is good rhetorically, and then it looks good to his base, but if a lot of people on the right think he's like a god-tier debater, but anybody that understands debate understands that Charlie Kirk is fucking stupid as hell.
Women are more violent than men. When it comes to abusing, when it comes to abusing infants and the elderly, women, by and large, take that stat.
That's not true. Stepfathers are the most likely person to be
right, and the woman brought the stepdad into the life.
Bro, now, oh my God, now, so abuse is more likely with a step parent. She says, yeah, well, it's still men that come in and do the abusing. She says, well, the woman brought him into the house, so she got to be a single mom for the rest of her life when she ain't married no more. Like, oh my fucking goodness. How is it that you rid men of all accountability for everything in life? Oh my fucking goodness. Like, bro. She said, well, that was the woman that brought him. Fuck the guy that actually did the abuse. The woman brought him in the house. As if she just knew that's what the result was going to be. She brought him in the house to abuse her child. And now it's her fault that he did it.
So when it comes to when a man's abusing her kids,
yes, that is your fault. If you brought it,
it's a woman's fault.
No, if it's you are responsible for who you let into your kids' lives. It is.
You hold a level of responsibility, and any good person would probably feel guilty. But this is crazy. This is insane.
Many women are irresponsible.
I'm not saying that
with
women
date
never
life.
bear any responsibility for things. What I'm saying is,
Many women are irresponsible.
you just told me that women overwhelmingly
So where's the responsibility on the person that actually did it? Like, what?
abuse men. I just told you, well, statistically, that's not true. Men overwhelmingly abuse women, including stepfathers abusing kids. It's not the case that overwhelmingly it's mothers abusing kids. Often the most likely predictive factor when it comes to abuse in childhood is having a step parent, specifically a stepfather. So sure, you can say there's some onus on that person for bringing that environment to the child. But the onus is on the person who's abusing them, right?
It's about 50-50 when it's just abuse. But if it's just the biological parents, then it's overwhelmingly the mother, because 75%.
That is not true. And
75.
No
I don't even know if that's true.
75% of abuse towards children and the elderly are women. You can look it up.
That is just not true.
So notice how this shifted from people in a marriage who's more likely to abuse, which is what they were just talking about, to she switched it to children and elderly. Children can mean people in daycare and child care. That's what children can include, with which obviously women dominate those fields for children and elderly. She just tried to obfuscate from talking about being in a marriage to your own personal kids to children and elderly. And I was in the middle of looking up who abuses more in like a marriage to who abuses children more in marriage.
Absolutely true. Abuse the mother, because 75%,
that is not true, and
75% of abuse towards children and the elderly are women. You can look it up.
That is not true.
That's absolutely true.
How many men compared to women sexually abuse children?
How many men? Say that again.
How many men compared to women sexually abuse children?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
It's more men than women.
Okay, so
Pearl knows that. She couldn't even admit it. Like, that's obviously true. Like, that's obviously true. It doesn't take any amount of brain power to just safely assume that men are more likely to abuse sexually. Like, and she couldn't even admit that. I wonder if she'll admit, like, who commits more murders, men or women? She probably, I don't know. Pearl, stop. Like, come on.
Again,
that's one example that I know off the top of my head without looking anything up and without making something up, without pulling it out of my ass, right?
Okay.
Like, that's something that I actually understand.
Okay.
So that's one way in which I'm disproving a claim.
Okay, well, I don't think you disproved it, but I'll let the audience decide.
You told me that,
that
women overwhelmingly abuse their kids. I said, well, men overwhelmingly sexually abuse their kids compared to women. So even in the best case scenario, this is an equalized situation.
Well, I mean, you could take murder, for example, and I'm not talking about abortion. I know the conservatives. Like, if you look at infanticide, it's overwhelmingly women. The police don't even look for a guy because, like, they're set.
Like, this is... Who's more likely to die in the field of construction? Men. Why? Because it's dominated by men. Like, what are we talking about? Women obviously deal with kids more. So if somebody's going to kill a child, it's more likely to be a woman. Why is she acting like this is some revelation that reveals some inner workings of how women's brains work? This is absurd.
That is, like, because it's almost always the mother.
Because they're with the kids more. It's more likely that the dad is not present, which doesn't give him the opportunity to do something like that. What are we talking about?
Am I allowed to look this up?
Yeah, go ahead. Google infanticide.
Because I attained a bunch of criticism.
Exactly, Sandra. It's like, bro, yes, I gotta say, I'm like, you can say, like, yeah, maybe you should be more cautious of bringing other men around your kids, but we can't sit here and act like the person that did it ain't at fault.
For ostensibly looking things up.
Oh, I don't mind if you look things up. I like to have a conversation, not read an essay.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a different format, the other one, so I'm not holding it against you.
Okay, this is interesting. So
infanticide, I'm pulling it up too. Intentionally killing an infant. Wait, mothers, man or woman.
So. Okay, so this is like a best case scenario where we can make this such that it's an equal amount of abuse that is going on. Because let's say we have a higher likelihood, for example, like a mother is more likely to be involved than a father. So if a mother is in
Chris, you starting to scare me now. You a little too obsessed with this with Pipe and Pearl, bro. You tell me something, bro, because what's happening?
Like if there's higher proximity of mothers around a kid more often, then obviously there's going to be a higher rate of like murder, because I don't think that men and women are intrinsically incredibly different enough.
Exactly,
I think there are psychos
buddy.
across the gender spectrum, or across both genders, however you want to put it, right?
Yeah, so they did look at that. They did look at that. And the challenge is, if that were true, as women spent over the last like 50 years, child abuse from women has gone up, not down, even though they've spent less time with their kids.
This is what do you think that would mean for men? Like what is that? Why are you? Even though they spent less time, they're still gonna spend more time with kids than men. And if I even granted her that, I think it's because we do have more mental health is becoming increasingly a problem. If I granted you that argument, is if you can't say that it's went down with men, then what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
So if that were true, as they spent like less time, the abuse would go down, but it went up. And I
don't even know if first of all, I don't even know if I buy into that as a whole. It might be true because women are working more, but they're still the ones that's primarily going to be with the kids. So
I don't really like
it shouldn't go down necessarily, but if more women are working and becoming more stressed and taking on more tasks because they've gotten into work and home tasks aren't spread evenly between men and women that are in relationships, then yeah, they're more likely to be stressed out or to be more unhealthy mentally.
An excuse for child abuse. I mean, we can, but I don't know if
and she doesn't know what an excuse is.
Psychopaths and hurt children. I don't think we should qualify it by saying like, well, only like women are intensely more likely to be doing loads of child abuse towards children. So, for example, if we take one metric, which is infanticide, which is a horrible thing, and it's terrible that women are more likely to do it. If we take that one metric and say, therefore, this means that all of this other stuff is not true, then this is like intuitively a silly thing to do. So this is like me saying, okay, well, actually, that infanticide thing doesn't matter at all because more men sexually abuse their kids.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tie this back into what we were talking about earlier, the nurturing, because it kind of goes together, right? So I actually think women are far more violent than men. And the only reason...
No, that's not true. Men commit most of the violent crime, like over 90% of violent crime.
That's true, but I'll get to it. So I think...
Imagine just saying, I think something that just doesn't map onto reality in any sense of the term. Like, come on.
That if women had the strength that men did and could actually throw punches, I would be terrified. I would be terrified.
That's not true. Because most of the violent crime that men commit is against other men, which means that if women have the same proclivities, they would be committing against other women on an equal playing field. Women
Good point. That's a good point. That is a very good point. It's like, if that were the case, why aren't women being extremely violent towards other women at a higher rate than men are violent to men? If you think that if women had the strength of men, they would be worse than men. That means women should be committing violence on other women at a higher rate than men, which we don't see.
Aren't murdering other women en masse. So, like, even though they have similar physical strength.
Okay, so the reason I think this is a few reasons. So
notice the ignoring of all of that fact, not acknowledging whatsoever, to just try to continue to fucking spit her talking points.
As I said earlier, the first way I view the world is through real life. That's how I personally come to my conclusion.
Most of us view the world to real life till you're more curious about what real life is and what the experiences of others are versus just your personal experience, because you can't really understand the world around you by only going off of what you know when you consider there's 8 billion around the world. And what was it how many in America? 300 million? Sorry if I don't know that number, y'all. But yeah.
First, meaning if
I truly don't know. I wanted to say 30 million, but that sounds way too low. But ain't like 300 some million in America.
You say I have this study that says X, Y, and Z.
And you can just say, well, I heard from Gareth that like this is fake.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I can understand why other people wouldn't accept that or whatever. Okay. Well,
like, I mean, scientifically speaking, like it doesn't abide by any of. Like, I would
say it's a good thing, because then you can't be manipulated. Because if someone can just throw a piece of paper,
manipulated by
and it, well, not my experience, but it's totally fine. You don't have to agree, but I'm telling you how I came to my conclusion. Okay. So
sure. Like,
okay. So the first way that I've come to this conclusion is because seeing how violent women were with me. Women get upset, and the only times I've done street interviews and I've interviewed men, I've even come in London in places that really weren't the best with controversial signs, and women, you know, men will sit down and they will be calm, talk about their differences. You know, I've had women threaten to attack me. So that's the first way, but that's not the only way that I've come to this conclusion. The second is, I like to see who is more.
Imagine that you're antagonistic towards women and they become irate with you. And you only suck off men and they're not. First of all, you're a woman, so they're less likely to be violent towards you. Pearl just said, well, you know, I do street interviews. There's only women that get violent with me. Meanwhile, I'm on the corner saying women shouldn't vote. Women are useless in society. And if all of women died tomorrow, nothing would matter and everything would be okay. Excuse me, YouTube, I am speaking against this rhetoric. I am not for it whatsoever, just so we're clear. But yes, imagine that you just literally spit hatred towards a specific gender and they get violent with you. Like, are you kidding me? The Mayo Queen, you excited? Oh, damn, you done missed about half of it.
Likely to murder the innocent. Because when it comes to men, if you look at the murder stats, the majority of men in jail for murder, it was a bar fight gone wrong. Meaning,
that's bullshit. I don't even have to look that up. You're not, no. Majority, no. Most people are not in jail over an accidental bar fight. Murder? Oh, accidental bar fight murder. Get the fuck out of here.
Meaning they accidentally killed somebody.
Most men in jail for murder are in jail for an accidental bar fight.
Meaning, so it's usually a fight gone wrong. Meaning that they killed somebody with their fists. It's totally wrong.
Do y'all see how she's like trying to whitewash murder? She's basically trying to say there's more people in prison for manslaughter than murder. I just looked it up. No, most killings are not murder, but murder and manslaughter are specific types of criminal homicide. See, they just differentiated between between manslaughter and murder. I want to know. They didn't say. It's not. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look more into it.
It's completely wrong. However, I believe that if women had that capacity, it would be far worse. And the reason I think that is because, what I look at is what they do with the innocent.
I'm looking up to try to see the most people that are in prison for, but all they're doing is differentiating between murder and manslaughter. I'm trying to see most people that's incarcerated for.
When it comes to children and the elderly, when you look at abuse towards children and the elderly, it is 75% women.
Well, women are like 90% of carers.
You're welcome to look it up. It's totally fine.
In the care sector, so obviously they're in high proximity around like the elderly. So it's more likely that you're going to have psychopaths who are women when more women around the elderly.
Yeah, so I would reject that excuse. I personally will not give an excuse for that.
That's just how statistics work.
You're totally willing.
Okay, what's more likely to happen? A random guy goes into a care facility and he's not a care worker for the elderly and he just decides he's going to fucking kill loads of innocent elderly ladies? Or is it more likely that someone who works in the care sector and is also more than likely happens to be a woman, like is going to
Have you ever seen interviews?
Okay, general overview. More people are incarcerated for murder than manslaughter. This is because murder is more frequently occurring offense and carries far more severe sentences than manslaughter. I knew that just intuitively, but I just wanted to make sure. The fact that she's trying to a bar fight gone wrong is fucking stupid. That's just ridiculous.
With like pedos, I hate saying that, but like I'm gonna use a different word because we're on YouTube. Oh my gosh, what word do you call? I'm just gonna say. I don't want to say. I'm gonna say edos.
No, I don't think most people are in prison for murder. But if we're talking about one person killing another, there's not more people in prison for manslaughter than murder. That's what I'm talking. If we're just talking about somebody killing someone else, I'm not saying overall the people that's necessarily in prison are murderers. No, I'm not saying that. But yeah, she's trying to act like, most of them in jail are because of a bar fight gone wrong. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't want YouTube to get flagged, okay? When you look at them, a lot of times they'll target certain industries because they have that inclination. So if I were going to go down that route, I would say that those people targeted them because they wanted to do that. But
even if that is the case, bro, it's still, men aren't gonna go out of their way to be a fucking nurse to try to kill old people. Like, this is ridiculous. This is stupid.
I don't think going back and forth about the reasoning is productive. I just look at what they're doing. And if I look at who's committing those crimes.
Like a productive way to understand the world.
Okay, totally fine. So
look how, you notice how she just does not engage when she gets a refutation. She's just like, yeah, all right, so yeah.
Productive way of understanding the world is like not grounded in reality.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Look, until he's further going into explanation for why she said that, and Pearl is cutting her off. This is insane.
I'm not going to listen to you when you present me statistics. I'm not going to listen to you.
I totally get it. You think your way
to an echo, and he told me this. It's actually silly.
Totally fine. You think
he's talking over her the entire time she's explaining herself. I don't know if she even heard a word of what she said.
Your way of looking at the world is better than mine.
No,
totally fine.
Like, it's not about your way. She's the way, right? It's like, that's the correct way. There's no like, this is your, in this dynamic, this isn't a your way versus my way. This is the way. You do not look at the world and general population and general trends in society and say, well, what I've seen is this. That is not how you have these conversations. You're trying to make general prescriptions for people within society. You can't base that off of your personal anecdotes, bro.
It's like the way, right? It's the correct way. Like, I have a worldview which is a feminist view, and that is one way. But the way is to use like.
Look how she's talking over her the entire time. She's trying to explain herself.
Scientific.
I would say that's.
Understanding of statistics.
I would say
that anecdotes are very difficult to reconcile with one another.
I would say that's a little egotistical.
She just literally won't even shut the fuck up.
But that's fine.
No,
you think your way is not egotistical. That's fine.
This is like me. I mean, men invented the scientific method according to you. So like, I'm abiding by these Enlightenment rationality values.
She flipped it. She tried to flip it on her. She flipped it on her.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Nothing to say. She just flipped her ideology on her, and she ain't had no response. Crazy.
Let's talk about who's more oppressed, men or women. You don't like that question. Is there another way that I'll even give you the floor if you have a better way you want to say it or come at it? Go ahead.
Okay. Who's more oppressed? I think I wouldn't necessarily take an issue with the claim necessarily. I would just ask you to qualify what you mean in terms of oppression.
Okay. When I think of oppression, I would say it's having the freedom without the responsibility that comes with it.
Who looks at the oppression with that type of definition? That is nobody on Earth's definition of oppression. Like, are you kidding me?
A way that I would say that men are oppressed, and an example I gave is a woman having the freedom to put a kid on a guy, even on somebody else, and commit paternity fraud. I would say the man that is, sorry, I'm trying to say this in a better way. When a guy is a victim of paternity fraud, when he has a child and he has to pay for it, he has the responsibility of it, but it's not his kid. And I would say that's a way that
paternity fraud. That is so uncommon. And again, get a test.
He's oppressed. Go ahead.
Okay, and do you think this outweighs ways that women have been oppressed as well?
Not just that example, but...
So what's some example that would outweigh something that you predict I might say about women being oppressed?
Well, I don't know your stuff. I'm just being honest. I don't know.
Sure,
I don't know what you would say because I don't know you that well, but go ahead.
I mean, why don't you just think of a typical feminist and what you believe they understand of oppression? What is something that you would say outweighs all of that stuff in terms of what the cards that men are dealt in society?
Okay, I don't know, but why don't you just tell me what you think and we could talk about it?
Sure. So, I mean, I think that if we take individual examples of anything, I think you're like desperate to hold on to this idea of anecdotal evidence and what you see in the world being more important and more like quantifiable than anything that I present to you. So I think it's a bit of a waste of time to go back and forth with you telling me that you know a guy and me telling you that like based on hundreds of thousands of guys, this is like overwhelmingly untrue. So instead I'll just like list off some reasons why I think that historically women are probably more oppressed.
Okay.
I would say, for example, if we talk about the US, until about 1974, a woman could be denied a credit card or a loan without a male cosigner, a father or husband. And then we have this act that comes in 1974 that makes it illegal to discriminate based on your sex or your marital status. So what that means is that a lot of living grandmothers, people who are alive today, were adults when women couldn't borrow their own money. Is that
Hey, she had that shit on the button in 1974. I was like, is that the exact year? Women could only obtain a credit card on their own after the passage of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, ECOA, on October 28th, 1974. Before this law, it was legal for lenders to discriminate based on sex and marital status, often requiring women to have a male cosigner or denying them credit altogether.
oppression?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and why?
Wait. So, look where we're at. Pearl gives a terrible definition of what oppression means. I think it means, what she say, being able to do what you want with no accountability or something. That's oppression. Whatever the fuck, that has nothing to do with oppression. She says because women could do paternity fraud and men have to pay child support, which is easily avoidable. Tilly says women couldn't have credit cards in 1974, meaning you know somebody that was an adult probably that couldn't get a credit card without being married or a co-signer that was a male. And she says, you don't think that's oppression? Pearl says no. Like, this is the epitome of rock bottom. Like, you're saying that it's not oppression that women couldn't have a credit card up until, what is this? Math ain't my strong suit, y'all. 50 years ago? 50 years ago, women couldn't have a credit card?
Is that oppression?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and why is that not oppression?
Because now we have women taking out credit cards and they don't pay it off.
That's not a reason. It's not oppression. Yo. This is the most bad faith shit I've ever seen. Oh my God. What?
Men take out credit cards, they don't pay it off. Should we stop men from taking out credit cards?
Right.
80% of the world's debt is owned by women.
Ignore what she says and just continue to shit on women. Y'all, like, even as a man, this is uncomfortable. Like, even if you believe in Pearl and everything she's trying to do for men, how can you watch this and be like, damn, Pearl cooking, or I fuck with this? Like, yeah. Like, she's not even acknowledging what she said. She said men don't pay credit cards, so should we take it from them? Yeah, but women do the most. Like, what is happening?
And 20% of the world's debt is owned by men.
Right, but I don't like the, and like, could we start with the women?
So women are more likely to shoulder certain burdens within like the home anyway, which probably increases the likelihood that they're going to be the ones shouldering the debt. So for example, like until 1974, it's overwhelmingly the case that like men are signing off on this stuff, and then after that, it's overwhelmingly the case that women and mothers are signing off on it, because then this like responsibility switches over. So oftentimes in a partnership, both of them are carrying debt, both of them are carrying a similar amount of debt, but it's more often co-signed within the woman's name, so it looks like women have more debt.
Yeah, I would say if you look at the degrees that women are taking out, it's degrees that don't make any money.
She strays. We talking about oppression. Now she done went from women got the most debt. Women don't pay their debt back. Women get degrees that ain't worth nothing. We talk about oppression. And now you talk about this.
Overwhelming.
She just has talking points. She can't have a conversation. She cannot have a conversation. She has talking points, and that's it.
So you're talking about like college degrees?
Yes, partially. Yes. Master's degrees, it never ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think that it's not oppression to tell women what kind of college degree they should do, and to the extent to which they should be taking out credit card loans?
The challenge
should be mandating that for women.
Well, I don't really care what women spend as long as they pay it back. But the problem is now women are.
I love how she's presenting this as if men don't pay back shit, like their debt or their loans. Like this presentation is crazy.
Paying it back. Like what women spend $500,000.
That's kind of like how debt works, right? Like if you have debt, you're probably like struggling to pay it back.
No, because men actually do pay back their debt. Like if you look at men versus women and student debt, men are actually making payments on their debt where women are defaulting. So again, the challenge
So yeah, take away, like, what the fuck is this argument? This don't make any sense,
is
bro.
women will make a decision and a man always has to bail them out of it. And that's
so. Do you think that this? So even if this is true, even if I grant you this, which I wouldn't necessarily grant it to you, do you think that the solution for that is to mandate or legally enforce some kind of thing where women have less freedoms in society on account of what you believe is bad behavior?
I would love to see education.
Tilly needs to talk. She probably so blue. She ain't think about that microphone. She need to talk to the mic because the echo is annoying.
Get unsubsidized in the United States. I don't know if that's a gendered thing, but women are the ones that mostly do it. I personally, that would be something I would love to see in my lifetime. I'm actually
teaching and education is a valuable job.
I'm very excited. Sorry, my audio. It's like this. It's like the cord. Sorry, could you say that one more time?
Do you think that teaching or educating is a valuable job?
Maybe at one point, but nowadays people graduate high school, they can't even read.
What the fuck? What is this response? Do you think education is valuable? Yeah, it was at one point, but now people graduate high school and can't read. First of all, no. Now, you can argue people have a low level of reading comprehension, but don't say people graduate high school and can't read. That's just not true. That's just not true. Most people aren't graduating high school and can't read. That's ridiculous.
I'm from Chicago. It's really bad here.
You're not from fucking Chicago. Pearl is nowhere near Chicago, y'all. Don't let her keep saying this. I keep forgetting the exact city. I'm finna tell y'all. Hold on.
It's terrible here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that without teachers, we probably have a little bit of a difficult time?
No.
You think that we don't need teachers?
I don't think because education is subsidized in the United States, so it's very hard to fire bad teachers. So
that is not what I asked. I asked, do you think that teaching is like a valuable job to have in society? So for example, if I taught your child to read, would you be like, oh, that's a good thing, Tilly taught my child to read? Or would you be like, fuck Tilly for teaching my kid to read?
Yeah.
Pearl is 30 plus minutes from Chicago. She's not in what we consider the Chicago area, y'all. Pearl keeps saying, I'm from Chicago. She is not from Chicago. I'm sorry. Chicago, you can have a zip code or address that's not Chicago, but still be considered Chicago. Pearl is out of that perimeter. She is not anywhere near what we consider the Chicago area. Like, there's people that could claim Chicago that's not technically from Chicago. They address not Chicago. She's not one of those people. I'm telling y'all, she is not one of those people whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I think that women became teachers and screwed up the whole system.
Women have what?
Teaching used to be majority men in the United States in like the 1800s. It used to be men. And over time, the education system just has gone downhill. And now we literally, like in downtown Chicago, there's people that can't read and they graduate high school.
Like you see, look what we've gotten. She's so bought into this stupid ass narrative that she's saying teachers aren't valuable because some people have low reading comprehension. So teachers are not valuable professions just to shit on women. This is where we're all right now.
And teaching is like 80% women.
Like income inequality of female teachers.
I would say it's mostly female teachers. Yeah.
I would say that.
And then specific, it's not even, now we're not even just talking about teachers. Now it's just females. Female teachers, period. Just the females.
Hold on. Not all. Wait. I have to say this to stay monetized. Not all women. Not all. Go ahead. Sorry. I do have to say that. I'm trying to stay monetized.
Just read. Where she was raised is even further than where she went to college. Pearl has no ties to Chicago, and she needs to stop claiming it. This is fucking annoying. You can't just live in Illinois and claim Chicago. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Where Pearl went to, where she was raised and went to high school, is nowhere near Chicago. Like, it's even further than what I was just giving her fucking credit for, where she went to college, is nowhere near Chicago.
Go ahead. That's how much of a protected class women are. I can't even make real generalizations about them without them like cutting my pay. That's how BS this is. Go on. Go ahead.
I think that you have a skewed understanding of what oppression means. I think oppression means limiting people's choices to do things, even when you disagree with those choices.
Yeah, I don't mind if people make choices. I don't care at all if women make choices.
You do mind because you think women shouldn't be allowed to take out credit cards.
No, I think they should pay for their credit cards, and if women actually had to pay back their debt, I don't think women.
So what happens in society when someone doesn't pay back their debt? If they're a woman, do they get special treatment?
And here, sort of, there's whole industries like, right, there's a lot of bankruptcy lawyers in Chicago that make money off of, it's actually quite BS when I started learning about
Yeah, she left that point because she had nowhere to go with that. It was fucking ridiculous.
Process. I was like, I should have did this. But there's a lot of
bankruptcy lawyers are only helping out
if you talk to them, they'll tell you it's mostly women. It's men too, but
if they're coming to them to work with them, it doesn't mean that that's what they're targeting or it only benefits them if women are coming to them. Again, men don't like to seek help anyway. If men don't want to seek help for their health, they're not seeking help to figure out money situations. They're just going to try to do that shit on their own. They're going to work extra hours.
It's mostly
who am I
going to take out a loan.
Argue with you if you've spoken to them.
Well, you're welcome to talk to the ones in London. I don't mind. It'll probably tell you the same thing.
So this is the thing, Hannah. Like, we can't solve this conflict. If I say, well, I've spoken to loads of bankruptcy lawyers in London, and they tell me the complete opposite, and then if you tell me, but I've spoken to loads of bankruptcy lawyers in Chicago, who's going to come out on top? If both of us have an equal distribution,
like when I had my debate, dude kept trying to bring up all these anecdotes. I'm like, bro, I can say you gonna bring up an anecdote. I can tell you the complete opposite. We can't come to any sort of understanding or truth of what's happening with your fucking anecdotes. I don't give a fuck about your anecdotes unless it disproves a broad claim that I'm making, which I don't generally make broad claims unless it's verifiable. And you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. I'll say all humans breathe air, and then unless you tell me somebody don't breathe air, you know, that's when an anecdote matters. But I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a human that don't breathe air. So this is the anecdotes only are used to disprove a claim, but you can't use it to make broad prescriptions. That's the opposite of the purpose of anecdotes, or to get an understanding of what's a possibility for a given scenario. But you don't use it to make a claim over everybody in that same scenario. You can just give a perspective of given scenario.
Evidence. Who's coming out on top?
Well,
it's probably someone with the data as well.
Well,
that's the thing, Roshan. It's like people think debating means like I know the most info and that's all that matters. Like, no, it's more than that. It's like being I think to be a skilled debater, you have to understand the other side of the argument. Like, just as good as you understand the side that you're on. You have to understand the other side. You have to be good faith. You have to have the skill. It's a skill. It's not just like I know shit. You got to be able to present it. You got to know how to use ethos, pathos, logos. Like, it's just not just like I just memorized a bunch of stats so I can debate. No, Pearl, you know a bunch of stats, but you look fucking stupid. You don't know what you're talking about, and you're not even responding to what she's saying to you.
Well, here's the thing. I don't care about winning. I'm just having a conversation.
And then you say I don't care about winning, but yet you bringing out stats when it benefits you.
I think you can tell me what you think.
So you'll concede to losing then?
Yeah, she's full of shit. You're bullshitting.
Conversation with you. Winning, losing, I don't care. Please. Like it's, okay. That's what I'm telling you.
If you don't get it, like you're making some kind of concession.
If you want to take it that way, it's not my problem.
I mean, how else do I take it?
You could look at the data too. The majority of bankruptcies are filed by women.
That's not the argument that I'm making. I'm not trying to argue with you about bankruptcy among women.
Okay. Well, then you could
I'm trying to argue with you that telling women that they receive some kind of special treatment and they get to not pay off their debts for the rest of their lives is a silly thing to say.
Well,
I don't think
they don't. Well, finally,
I think that a lot of loan sharks, a lot of like issues with credit debt, and that women aren't receiving special treatment.
Well, finally, Trump has come in and starts garnishing.
It says women file 52% of bankruptcies and men do 48%, which is it's not 50-50, obviously, but it's not worth acting like it's just this big discrepancy. It's true though. She's right. She's true technically.
Women's wages, so that's been awesome.
Right,
so sometimes there is some out of student loans. So again, because women are the ones defaulting majority on their student loans. So finally, Trump has come in, and I can't remember the law he passed.
How about maybe some more? How about this? Maybe women are defaulting more because they end up divorced and having to deal with the kids. Therefore, they can't make as much money. How about let's think a little bit stronger than just a woman is involved. A woman is involved. Therefore, they're the one that's doing something incorrect. How about women are often they get married, and if they get divorced, they're dealing with the kids. Therefore, they can't make as much money. Therefore, they're ending up defaulting on their loans. How about that? How about generally more women are in fields where they make less money in general? So it's just like I don't think that is. What women are we talking about? Women is making a high salary probably aren't defaulting on their loans, Pearl. And the women that aren't making high salaries, they're no different than the men that aren't making high salaries but got a degree in X, Y, and Z and ain't paying their loans. Just like, this is fucking stupid.
But basically, they can take it out of your bank account now, where before they would just default and you couldn't take it out of their bank account. Thank God.
So do you think this should apply for, like, what if men are doing humanities degrees as well?
Yeah, I agree. But
so
more women do it.
Is it the issue is that you devalue a humanities degree or something?
So why don't we just get rid of humanities degrees, Pearl? Your job wouldn't exist if there wasn't people that did humanities.
That's not necessarily worthwhile.
I don't know anything about a humanities degree, but it doesn't sound like it. I don't know. Imagine
being a college grad. Well, I don't even know if she graduated. I'm not gonna say she did or didn't. I don't know. Imagine going to college and not knowing what a humanities degree is.
Do you know what the humanities means?
I don't know anything about that degree. You're welcome to tell me. But what I would do if I was to analyze that.
It's not even a specific one. It's a genre. I don't know if the right word is genre, but it's a. You got Bachelor of Science and the Arts. I think they use humanities interchange. Like humanities, I think is like the UK version of the arts.
Because I would look at the.
So the humanities is like
humanities
so you have
average.
Like you have science, technology, engineering, maths. Men are more likely to do this, and then you have humanities subjects. So this is like I study humanities subject. I study
like
political science and international relations. You have like economics,
history.
That's a humanity.
Oh no, all of these.
literature.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
You have law is a humanity. So women are more likely to do that, and men are more likely to be doing STEM.
Classic.
But this gap is kind of closing as you see more gender equality happening anyway.
Well, the challenge is.
So is your issue with the fact that women are doing bad degrees, or is your issue with the fact that like no one should be doing a humanities degree?
I don't care what degree you want to do. I'm looking at the subjects that entails. None of these seem to have a high ROI. So if you don't make the money back and pay back the money, and then society has to bail you out and they pass things like student loan forgiveness, which comes from our taxes, that's when I have a problem. It is the majority one gender that is doing that. But if a man does it too, I have the same problem. My issue
I think
is
this
when
is
you're
also
not
an issue that's really specific to the US, which has extremely inflated tuition fees. So people probably feel that they have much more skin in the game when it comes to mandating what they believe people's personal choices should be. In the United Kingdom, can you guess what our tuition fees look like?
I went to school in the UK. I think
You did?
Yeah.
You know firsthand. We are way cheaper than you guys over in the US. And we're more likely therefore to get
That's
this
true,
like ROI.
but I gotta be honest, you guys.
So do you think maybe it's the system of like tuition fees dealing a bad hand, or do you think it's women making bad choices? Because for example, if you have a woman in like China who goes to pursue a degree in something, that's going to look very different to a woman in America pursuing the same degree. So would you say that it's like a national issue rather than a gender issue?
No, because I didn't really see a difference. Like the girls, and this is what I mean with firsthand experience, right? The women I went to school with, none of them are really working in their field. Like maybe it's because I'm an athlete, but half of them are trainers. They didn't even get jobs in their field.
So like what the fuck is they athletes and they're trainers? That's yes, it's not maybe what they majored in, but it's still something that a skill they acquired probably through being an athlete. They decided to be personal trainers. What the fuck?
To school, made friends with a bunch of athletes, and then got surprised.
Yeah, well, I played volleyball in England for 3 years.
Oh my god!
And all your friends were like athletes as well.
The people I knew were athletes. Some were friends, some weren't. But
she didn't want to admit it. She didn't want to admit it because she knew she was walking into a trap. She knows that she's walking into a trap. She said, well, oh yeah, most of your friends are athletes because obviously your athlete friends are probably, if they don't major in their major, they're probably going to do something within their athletic expertise. And Pearl didn't want to admit that. She's like, well, yeah, some people, yeah, some are friends, some I just knew. She didn't want to admit that because she's like, oh, so they are using what they know something about to have a career.
Yeah.
And then a lot
the people I knew were athletes. Some were friends, some weren't. But yeah.
And then a lot of them ended up going on to become like trainers.
A lot of them, good percent, or like working in like serving. Like a lot of them.
A lot of those women, like all of these women becoming personal trainers.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was
so
like
full of shit.
It wasn't just that. It was like serving jobs. My point is they weren't working in the field.
So like you made friends with people who are athletes, and then those athletes went on to become personal trainers, and then you're deciding that means women don't use their humanities degrees.
Well, it wouldn't just be that. It would be patterns that I've seen, not just there, but like even in undergrad it would be the same thing, different countries, women getting degrees in one thing and not working in that. I mean, what percent of STEM do you think those are women? STEM.
That's a good question, actually. I think that we're seeing a little bit more of an even distribution these days of STEM subjects between men and women because gender equality measures have increased.
Not really.
There's less barriers to entry for women nowadays.
It's 22%. And even when they get into the field, like for example, most female doctors quit before they're 40.
What the fuck? Why is she? Look, this goalpost movement is just never ending. I feel like, bro, I don't even know where we started until he has just followed her down this rabbit hole. Because now women, for as far back I can remember, is women pick stupid degrees, and I guess now we're acknowledging that there's some women that don't pick degrees that Pearl deems stupid. And she's like, okay, well, women are doctors. She's like, yeah, well, the women that are doctors, they don't stay in the field till they're 40. Pearl, even if I granted you that, why is it? You don't give a fuck about any whys. You just say shit to make women look bad. How about usually if a woman is a doctor, she's probably marrying a man that makes probably more money than her, the same or more, and she's probably not working because she had a kid or something. Pearl, obviously that's the reason. If I granted you women stop working by the time they're 40 as a doctor, it's because they had a baby and they may be able to afford to not work. Like, come the fuck on, which is what you seem to want to advocate for, since women ain't good for shit but kids. Well, you barely think that's the thing because you say they kill them. Like, come on, you not consistent with any of your worldview. Nothing is consistent because everything leads to women bad.
Yeah, most doctors are quite rich by the time they're 40.
No, they're not. That's actually just not true.
In America, they have some of the highest wages in the world.
No, they do have high wages, but they have to pay back. I have a friend who's doing it right now. It's going to take
high wages allowed him to pay.
Well, El's friend's doing it. Okay, so women make up 34% of the STEM workforce. So it's not quite as dramatic.
Yeah, the number.
In terms of certain degrees, like women account for more than half in some STEM contexts. So I'm seeing here that it's like women account for quite a. Is this engineering? So women are underrepresented in STEM degrees. They're less likely to go for STEM degrees, but I don't think it's quite as dramatic as like 22%. It looks more like 35 to 40%. So it's like a 10 to 15% difference.
Correct, but the challenge is if you look at how long they stay in the field, most of them quit before the 10-year mark. And the thing with the doctors, they quit because it's harder than they thought, is my take. You're probably going to say...
Is it that women 10 years into their career are suddenly realizing it's hard, or is it that women 10 years into their career are more likely to have a child?
Well, if you have a kid, they have daycare now. So you can get daycare.
Right.
It's not really...
Well, if they've got daycare, I don't really see a point.
And then they can start again.
Would you agree that a lot of women end up quitting their job when they have a child?
And the thing is most women aren't even having kids. Like, that's why they keep talking about the birth rate.
A lot of women are having kids.
Well, the birth rate's less than 2. What are you talking about?
Oh, I know loads of women who have kids. So how are you going to argue with that? I know loads of women, and actually all have like 10 kids. I used to live across the street from a couple who had 12 kids.
That's crazy. How old were they?
So take your birth rate statistic and shove it. Because,
that's
like,
totally
I know more than you. I know a guy who has 17 kids.
I'm asking you questions. So if that's true, how old were the parents?
The parents were when I was younger. I'm actually going to go here. You know what? Like, if we're actually using this metric, if we're actually being like insane, I'm going to go here. Right?
Go ahead.
So I was at the time. This is 8 years ago. So I'm 20 years old. I would have been 12.
Okay.
When I knew this couple who had a bunch of kids. I think they even had a TV show. They owned a pie shop, and their TV show was about how they just had so many fucking kids, and they couldn't stop having kids. And then this was entertaining people. So this is 8 years ago. The couple would probably they were quite a young couple. They started having kids pretty young. So 40, 45.
Okay, but my point is that actually backs up what I'm saying, because this is when you were 12, right? Yes. Yeah, so different. Like I'm from a family of 10 kids.
Okay.
So that would actually match up with what I've seen. When I was a kid, I knew a lot of people with 5, 6 kids, but nowadays, not really. Maybe all the girls.
Well, I met a guy last week and he had 12 kids. So.
Well, that's possible. Where at? And that's the thing. I could. How old is he? How old is he?
If you just throw an anecdote at me and then you give me some kind of ought from that, if you say like this is.
Do you know? Okay. Do you know what? Okay, Tilly.
Do you understand why I'm like? Well, that doesn't make sense. I can just lie to you.
Tilly, do you know what good faith is and bad faith? Do you know what the difference is?
Yeah, and I think that it's a bad faith argument to continue throwing anecdotes at me when I present factual information. And I'm taking your logic like ad absurdum to demonstrate to you that this is an absurd way to argue.
I've been polite to you. Would you agree or disagree? Like, I've let you come on.
I think I've been.
No, you totally have. You totally have. Correct. But when good faith is, I'm not gonna assume that.
Tilly came for a debate. Pearl said she doesn't want to debate. It's a conversation, but then it turns into a debate that Pearl claims she doesn't want to debate.
You're lying. Okay.
Sure.
And so if you tell me,
I'm not necessarily lying either about anecdotes, but that doesn't mean
totally.
That
and if you want to keep insinuating, it's totally fine. But I'm telling you what I've seen, and I'm not going to patronize you when you tell me what you've seen. So if you tell me that you've met this person, I'll just ask you questions.
What I'm going to say is it doesn't necessarily belong in a conversation where we're thinking about actual broad, sweeping generalizations about society. And the example that I bring is when you told me a bunch of my friends didn't use their humanities degrees, I'm an athlete, I had loads of athlete friends, and then they became personal trainers. Do you understand how that actually doesn't tie into anything about humanities degrees whatsoever? All it ties into is your friend group and who you were friends with. Well, this is why anecdotes are way more unreliable than studies.
Well, I did see a similar thing, because I'm thinking like the girls that studied psychology, there's a lot of them on my team, both in the US and here, and they just didn't seem to work in the field if they did anything in writing, anything. And you can say that's not what you've seen. You can tell me what you've seen at Oxford, but there's no need to like patronize me if I'm being polite to you. You know what I mean?
I love how now Pearl is getting backed into a corner and now she wants to pull out. I've been polite to you this whole time. Meanwhile, I don't give a fuck how polite you are if you're serving me steak on a shit platter. Like, you've been saying bullshit and you haven't been quote unquote rude to her, but you've been so bad faith that it warrants her getting a little amped with you because you're not even being real. You're saying that being a teacher is useless now. You're saying that women not being able to get a credit card 50 years ago is not oppression. And that's just bad faith. And so now she's a little upset and perturbed with you. And now you're like, I haven't been rude to you, so like, I don't get it. Like, girl, get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm not being patronizing at all. I'm just saying it's a silly metric, right?
Rashawn.
I'm not patronizing you as a person. I'm sure that you have experienced those things. I'm sure your anecdotes.
That's totally. We could go back and forth. What you do going forward is up to you. I'm just letting you know. Okay, so how do you think? So you think the credit cards were oppressive? What else did you think were oppressive?
No, I think that banning women from having credit cards was oppressive.
Okay, that's totally fine. Was there anything else that you think women were oppressed?
Yeah, I think that women have historically been the victims of violent crime, domestic abuse, violent crime from men towards women, and domestic abuse, and rape, and femicide.
Say
and
grape if you don't. I'm sorry. If you don't, I do have to. I'm going to let you go, but say grape just for YouTube. I tried to say. Yeah. I didn't tell you that. That's my fault. But just say grape.
No,
okay.
That is okay. So yeah, women are the primary victims of grape, and that includes, for example, warfare. So for example, grape victims have higher rates of PTSD than veterans, and also oftentimes we can take various examples of wars where men have gone and fought in wars, but for every man that has fought in a war, upwards of 3 to 4 women have been raped.
Okay, 3 to 4 women. And where do you find this 3 to 4 women have been raped? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just wondering where it came from.
No, of course. So you have examples like the Republic of the Congo from like 1998. Okay. So this is the grape capital of the world.
Okay, cool.
And there are also a lot of active combatants in the Congo. And if you look at these figures, what you'll see is that about 3 to 4 women are raped per man involved in that war in the Congo.
Could you do me a favor?
I have more.
And if possible, can we stick to the West? And the reason is because when you start bringing in Africa and these other countries, it's just out of my scope. I don't want to like argue about something I don't know. You know, if you're welcome to like bring that back, but I would primarily love to just stay in the West. Is that possible?
Okay, so can we do Soviet invasion of Germany then?
We can, but I'd really just prefer to keep UK, America. So just fine, that's fine. The West. I did say the West. That's fine.
You just say the West.
I did. Fine.
Like,
go ahead.
Sure. Like so in like 1944 and 45, you have 1 to 2 million German women are raped, and the Soviet soldiers in Europe at the time is like 4 million. So this is a case where like you have about 0.5 women raped per soldier. But this is also like something where it's super concentrated among certain divisions, and it's also like disproportionately affecting a bunch of civilian women. So you have soldiers.
Bro, I'm off some shit too.
Versus civilian women, and even if we conservatively generalize from a bunch of case studies, I know you said stick to the West, but if we conservatively generalize like globally, and also if we generalize from wars that happen within the West, even though a lot of wars that happen are proxy wars outside of the West, where Western soldiers then are out like diffuse across Europe and outside of it, so that they can like impose whatever agenda or
and what is your definition of grape? Does that include like? Is that like knife to your head, or sorry, knife to grape, or is this like drunken regret grape? Like what is the?
Look how Pearl brain thinks. Look at her brain. She thinks that this woman thinks. I don't even Tilly does claim to be a feminist, but she's never struck me as the feminist that thinks like a woman that a guy grabbed her butt has been raped. Like she doesn't strike me as the type to think something like that. Like, and now look, do you think like a woman that regrets it is a great, like, come on.
You might have.
If someone has sex and then drunkenly regrets having it, then no, obviously they weren't raped.
Okay,
see, she's not bad faith. She's not like one of, and she never struck me as such. And for her to even propose that is crazy.
All right, fine. So my opinion is that
I don't have a new alley to go down, so let me find some other bad faith tactics.
Men built civilization. Historically, men worked laborious jobs 6 to 7 days a week and went off and died in wars. Women stayed inside. They were teachers. They were secretaries. They raised the kid. They were cleaners. I do think rape is unfortunate.
Cleaners. Let's just.
I do think I'm not pro-rape. You know, that's unfortunate. That did happen in wars. But I would say historically men did have it harder, and women were a protected class, especially in America.
If women were such a protected class, then why were so many women raped as a weapon of war? And why is it that rape victims, who are overwhelmingly women, have higher rates of PTSD than veterans?
Well, PTSD, I would say suicide is a better, you know, because you can kind of, you know, take a survey and do whatever. But if you look at suicide rates of veterans, I mean, more veterans in America have committed suicide than all of the world wars combined. It's really not good.
That's because more men are successful at committing suicide. I know that sounds like a crude way of saying it, but about the same amount as men of women attempt suicide. But it's just that men are more likely to be successful at it because they use more violent methods. Like they're more likely to
I understand that women also attempt, but I got to look at who's dying here. And this is kind of my issue.
Why does that matter more?
Well, this is kind of my issue with feminists is I never understand why you guys, when you talk about a men's issue.
Roshan, it's funny because bro Rasta in here too. He just had his first cut waters like last week. That shit crazy. Y'all really new to the cut water.
Like that's a terrible thing, right? But we always have to make it about women. Like I never understood why we can't say, hey, you know, because I have relatives that served, right? And these are guys that like, you know, they went overseas for 20
That's because you mixed it, bro. You had a bad experience, bro. You wasn't supposed to mix that shit.
30 years. And the stuff they come back, like they came back with is pretty rough. So I just never understood why we try to minimize men's issues. And you kind of do
never minimize a veteran going through terrible things. Yeah. I also have relatives who are veterans, and I think that it is a men's issue. And I'm totally like as someone who advocates against all unnecessary wars and for justice for men. And I think as much as humanly possible, we should be avoiding conscription and the draft for everybody. I'm definitely not someone who would minimize it.
Well, what are we gonna do?
That's why you said man, I wanted to tell you. You said you was fucked up because you mixed it.
The ground that rape has a higher rate of PTSD.
That's not different types.
Saying that PTSD among veterans is like minimal and like not that.
Okay, so
like, not that
right, but why even bring that up then? You know what I mean? It's like why?
Because I'm demonstrating. Because you asked me a question about how women have been historically more oppressed than men.
If you have one cut water, one specific type, you're fine. You're gonna be fine. But they're strong, so you can't drink a bunch. If you know that you a lightweight. I'm not saying you a lightweight roster, but you bought a bunch of different flavors, and didn't you say you drank different flavors in one night?
And I've given you one, and then you've told me that I'm actually just doing a minimization tactic.
Yeah, well, because you guys kind of
do make a difference. You're drinking because they're not all like tequila or they're not all vodka. Like different flavors got the tequila, rum, vodka, whiskey. Like they got different flavors. You can't just drink them all. They're gonna fuck you up.
And that's why I keep trying to say when we talk about women and talk about men, let's try to keep it separate if we can. Because I've just noticed whenever I bring up like a men's issue, like if I say, you know, men don't have access to their kids, it's always, well, women don't have access to their kids. Or if
But that's not what's happening, Pearl. This part of the conversation is still you asking about women being oppressed. She brought up women being oppressed, and now you're talking about, yeah, I'm bringing up men shit, and now you're talking about women. You're not even following the conversation because you're just so hell-bent on talking points. You're not even listening to the conversation at this point.
If I say, hey, men are victims of suicide from war, it's like,
bro, in no other situation is you going to buy you a bottle of Hennessy and then buy a bottle of Absolute and drink them both in the same night. That's just not happening.
Women have PTSD too. It's like,
I think it's because you're using those facts to make prescriptive claims about what women should do in response. Like I would totally go to a conference or whatever it is and like hear men's stories and listen to them speak about the horrible things that they've been through and empathize with them on the fact that they've experienced this oppression in society. I'm not going to go and show up to a conference where when men like make these claims and then from that what follows is and also like womenmen's claims.
Well, you realize like veterans.
I believe in equal footing in that.
Well, you realize like veterans are a good percentage of my audience. So, you know, it's like they listen to this, you know, this pretty blonde girl, right? And she's like, yeah, well, women have suicide too. You know, it can be.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying that if you've been great, that is also like likely to happen during a war.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are things that veterans might also share. So for example, like if you're a veteran and a woman, like you've probably experienced some kind of SA.
I'm just streaming till this video over, which only has 20 some odd minutes, but it's sped up. So maybe like 10 minutes. I'm done after this.
Great in your life. So there is that. But also it's like, I don't understand how a veteran could conclude that I'm minimizing their struggles by saying that rape victims have extremely high rates of PTSD.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of why men don't open up to women because they'll say, "I don't know how you could feel that way." Sorry, I think you're well. I think you're well-meaning. I think you're well-meaning, but I'm just telling you how it comes across.
But it don't come across that way. She even like, I'm not somebody to just size women because they women, but she just seems like she's coming from an actual place of, one, good faith, and two, honesty about the reality of the situation.
Okay, so what else was I gonna? Okay, so you think the grape? I'll give you the grape. You think the majority of women have been raped today? Do you really think that?
Where did that come from?
No.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you meant that today. So you don't think that?
She never said that. Bluey, yeah, this is sped up, bro.
Some capacity of sexual harassment. Like, if you look at this objectively.
Don't they include catcalling in that?
Is catcalling sexual harassment?
I don't know. You tell me. You would know more than me. I don't know.
Why would I know more than you, Hannah?
Because you brought up sexual harassment. I thought you would know. No.
So, do you think that catcalling is sexual harassment?
I don't, but I don't know what the definition is. So I personally.
So if you don't know what sexual harassment is, how can you say that something isn't sexual harassment?
Because I don't know what the official.
Define it. How are we doing this?
Well, I can't quote. What's the definition of anything? I can't quote you the definition of like light or microphone off the top of my head. So I don't know what the dictionary definition is. I'm just saying, personally, it wouldn't offend me. I'd just say no, thank you.
Well, I'll give you the definition of sexual harassment. It's harassing someone sexually. And catcalling falls under harassing someone sexually because it's going up to someone and harassing them in a sexual context.
Oh my God, it's no wonder men don't approach anymore. Because who determines the difference between like a harassment and wanted attention? You know what I mean?
No, not really. Could you explain what you mean by that?
Well, men used to catcall because sometimes it worked, right? Some women were into it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I walk down the street and a man shouts, "Nice tits, come and get in my car." And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to get, like, he's got a point, right? Like, catcalling is not something that works. Courting someone works. Going on a date with someone works. Telling someone that they're beautiful and you'd like to take them out works. Shouting nice tits across the street isn't, like, a foolproof way to prove that you're, like, marriageable to a woman.
Yeah, but, I mean, I have, you're gonna say I know a guy, but I do know a guy, and he approaches. He doesn't say.
The fact that she realizes how much she uses anecdotes and just like, yeah, you're gonna be mad at me. Yes, because your anecdotes are pointless, and the fact that you run to them every time you're cornered in something is just telling.
Like that, but he'll say you're beautiful, or like that. But some women, like, even if he's trying to be respectful, they take it the wrong way.
Wait, Tron, you saying Tilly retarded?
And I know him. He's not, he's not trying to harass anybody, but he wants to get a date.
Yeah.
So.
And I empathize with that. I think that men should also be a little bit sensitive to the fact that they're much physically stronger than women by a lot of different metrics. And so women are more likely to be intimidated when a man approaches them, telling them that they think they're beautiful or they're very attractive, and that potentially there should be a little bit of sensitivity around that.
Okay.
I think if it's done politely, I would take no issue with being approached and just politely rejecting it and going on with my day and then totally fine.
Okay.
With that.
All right, cool.
There's a difference between sexual aggression and just being approached and asked out, and I think there's no issue with that. And I actually would encourage more men to approach women in public. I would encourage the reverse. Like I think that things like dating apps can be a little bit harmful to the dating scene, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that women are a protected class in society.
What are you talking about? It's not women. Genders are protected. First of all, how hypocritical is it for Pearl to say, "Oh no, I'm sorry. Tron, you may know this information and I could be wrong, but I think I'm not. Didn't old girl that shits on women get demonetized or kicked off of YouTube? That woman O'Shea talk about. What's her name? I haven't heard her name in so long, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. There's this woman that shits on men all the time. She's like on YouTube, and she got demonetized or kicked off. I don't remember. No, not Melanie King. Fuck, what's that woman's name? God, not Melanie King, bro. She the one that said, like, abort black babies. She said some shit like that. In YouTube, I'm not saying that. She shits on men. What the fuck is her name? Courtney G. Yes, her. That's who it was, yes. Didn't she get demonetized or kicked off of YouTube? One of the two? I don't know if she's monetized now. Because Pearl got remonetized after shitting on women. Courtney G either was kicked off or demonetized. And she shit on men. So, yes, Cynthia G. Yes, not Courtney. Cynthia G. Yes. She got demonetized just like Pearl. Pearl sitting here pretending like she's a victim of, oh, women are a protected class. No, gender is protected. Oh, if she kicked off too, even worse, even that goes against Pearl's case if she got kicked off. I don't know what she said, but I know she got demonetized. Therefore, Pearl, what you're talking about, women being special, is no different because Cynthia G did the most to shit on men.
I want to know, why don't feminists fight for women to do 50% of the manual labor in society? So like construction, plumbing, electrician.
They're not fighting for 50%. Real feminism, what feminism I think should be, and for the most part is today, is to give women the opportunity to do what the fuck they want, bro. It ain't like we got to have 50% CEOs. We got to have 50% construction workers. We got to have 50% whatever. Shut the fuck up.
Like, why is there only talks of women not being CEOs, but there's never talks of women of women doing construction jobs, for example?
I think there's two things that you can say about this. The first one is that construction is considered a less aspirational job. So most people don't dream of being a construction worker either.
That's fair too. I mean, people don't wake up like, I want to be. But some kids may say that and be like, it shows a show of strength or something. But once you learn what it takes to like really do construction work, you don't be like waking up like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, no.
Men. But the second thing is, like, doing hard jobs doesn't dictate your societal value. And I think that even ultra-traditionalist people recognize that. Like, a lot of people who are super conservative and traditional will say women bring just as much value through childcare and nursing and typically female-dominated industries. And maybe even some feminists would agree with that on different grounds. Like, when it comes to social participation, society is about working as a team to achieve things. For example, like, would you say, like, oh, we should encourage, like, men over 40 to go and do construction or work at an oil rig?
I think that if women want equality, that women should do 50% of the hard jobs before they complain about not getting paid the same. Men make 75% of the food supply, 80% of the world's stuff. And there's an economist. He categorized jobs.
Stuff? What is world's stuff?
So there's an economist, and he categorized jobs into basically jobs that if the power went, like jobs that society could survive without and jobs society couldn't. And it's like men do. Hold on, actually, I have the book. Do you care if I read it to you? Do you care? Is that all right? Since we're doing
No, I don't care.
Because he's so smart. He came on my show. Contribution to the GDP. Let me see. 1 second. Should have did this before. My bad. But it's just men do all the jobs where if the lights went out tomorrow, society could not function, is my point. So it's like for example, I have this job, right? But if I went away tomorrow, a lot of women would be happy. But like society would be fine, right? I'm not egotistical enough to think I'm that important. But I do interviews, and I'll interview men that do construction for 30 years, that do plumbing for 30 years, they're firemen, and these are men that we can't survive without. Like human resources.
I love how she presents this as if it's like this is just men, period. When men fall into the same categories that she put women in. Like, there's men that do these jobs that you consider not important, and there's women that do jobs you consider super important. What the fuck?
Because we've witnessed loads of circumstances when women have survived and adapted to.
That is true, Roshan. Women entering fields of mostly men, there's a higher likelihood of you being like in a super uncomfortable environment. I'm not saying it's inevitable, but when you, as a woman entering a field that's dominated by men, there's a greater chance of you dealing with harassment. Like, and I don't think it's hard to even wrap your head around that. Let Pearl tell her. She'd be like, I don't think that's true. She'll just ignore the fact that women, especially if you're attractive, like you're more likely to be in very uncomfortable situations dealing with men.
Circumstance.
Okay, are you talking about like the factory jobs? Is that your point? Like they always say like World War I
is that during World War II this has happened already, and society didn't crumble and collapse.
Well, that was factory jobs though, so they were factories that men built.
But they're also building bombs.
Why I hate this argument because something is that is what it ought to be. Like you can't grant an ought from an is. Just because men did all of this, you were fucking keeping women oppressed so they couldn't do it. If all men died tomorrow, women would have a way to do the same shit we did. Their mental capacity is just as capable as men's. And the stuff that we don't physically do anymore, the machines can, and they can build them the same way we did before a time, whether women had a part to play or not. This is so ridiculous. Women have the capabilities. If it takes 3 men to lift a steel pipe, and it may take 4 women to do it, but it's gonna happen. Like whatever happens, we're generally taller. Maybe just women would make shit a little bit shorter. It's just like it don't matter. It's like this whole idea that women can't do what men did is ridiculous, because if they had to, they fucking will.
And they were doing construction and they were doing difficult jobs. If you think about it, if so many men,
what percent of the workforce was women during that time? Was it the majority?
What I would say is that if
was
men
it the
between the ages of
majority?
18 and 39,
Wait. During that time, was it the majority? I just need this answer from you. Was it the majority?
I don't know if it was a majority.
I
but
know,
what I am saying is, you told me
So-
that if tons of men leave the harder jobs, then society will collapse. During World War II,
Totally.
tons of men, even if it's not the majority, but loads of them between the ages of 18 and 39, went overseas to fight in wars, and society didn't collapse. Even if you're going to tell me, oh, actually, it was a small amount of women who entered the workforce, what they proved was that that small amount of women was capable,
What
and also that
percent?
society didn't collapse. So my
What
point still
percent
stands.
of what percent of factory workers were women at the time? What
Do you
percent?
see how, like, even if you give me some statistic, that still doesn't
So
matter?
if
because
I
I'm just
said,
telling you
if
why
I
my claim still matters and it still
okay,
comes in here.
if I said 5%, that wouldn't change. You wouldn't think, okay, maybe they weren't as important as we thought.
Not really, because I've already explained to you why.
Okay, but it was only 25% of women doing those jobs.
Your hypothetical was 5, but the real number is 25, and you think 25% isn't significant? What?
So 1 in 4 people. That means that about 1 in 4 men had left and gone to fight wars overseas. If 1 in 4 men did that and society was fine, then does that not prove my point exactly?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yes, it
Because
does.
still, because if the women, because
A quarter of people is a lot, bro.
People in the workforce
Because-
doing the difficult jobs, doing the construction, being women and doing it well, such that, for example, England does really well in war when this happens.
Because if the 25% went away, they would be fine. But I think
They wouldn't
No,
be fine. If
no.
25% of the workforce fucking died, then that would be awful. That would not be fine.
I don't even know if that's sustainable. 25% of the workforce is crazy.
You're actually proving my point that women
workforce?
love taking credit for men's work.
I'm not taking
This is a non sequitur if I've ever seen one. What are you talking about? You just proved my point. Women like taking credit for men's work. What?
credit for any man's work. I wasn't there in World War II.
Yeah, I just said men are dying in battle and running the factories, and you said, but the women did 25% of the factory work.
You told me.
That's not taking credit for men's work. She said if you got rid of 25% of workers, that would be detrimental to society. That's not saying women are taking credit for men's work. If you take away 25% of a workforce, that's going to do a lot of damage.
Women did 25% of the factory work.
I mean,
I agreed.
Men are like dying, and you're like, well, the women survived without the men.
What the fuck?
Because you told me that women
She just fucking, this is
can't
crazy.
survive without men, and I told you it
Women
did.
can't. But I'm saying, like, if tomorrow men's jobs disappeared, like, we would be screwed as women. We could not
Women will figure it out.
operate the
Well, imagine if the only
infrastructure.
people we had left in society were guys who worked the oil rigs.
Oh, thank God.
We'd be a little bit screwed as well if we didn't have teachers, educators, nurses, midwives,
Oh
and
my
lawyers.
God, that would be amazing. There'd be no nagging. Oh my God, I dream about a world like that.
You'd have like an abundance of fucking oil.
The sarcasm is so fucking weird.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
good.
good.
That sounds good. Oil prices have been mad.
Yeah, you have an abundance of oil, so your oil price goes down.
Okay, so you think misogyny?
Women
I'll give her a little credit. She lost weight. I'll give her some credit.
are dying because you've got no more midwives.
Okay, do you mind if I take a break to read super chats? Is that all right with you?
I don't mind at all.
I told them to.
I'm gonna just take a break from this conversation. I don't think I could finish it. Like, I mean, you guys, I'm sorry. If you want to finish it, it's on Pearl's page, but it's also on Tilly's page. It's just that I watched it on Pearl's, but Tilly is the one who she has this conversation too, but it's not as good a video quality. This is Tilly's page if you guys want to support her. What the fuck? Really? Yo, my shit been doing that today, and I don't know why. Yeah, man, I can't take it no more. But that's a Blonde Praxis Tilly. This is her YouTube. If y'all want to support her, this is her YouTube right here. Tilly Blonde Praxis. Sorry. But yeah, man. Yeah, I think we got the gist of the level of stupidity Pearl is willing to go to save face. I just had to get into on this because I had time today. I got off work early. This is my work day for those that don't know, and I got off early. So I was like, fuck it. I'm finna cover this because I saw that clip. I was like, what the fuck is going on, bro? But regardless, I appreciate each and every one of y'all because a lot of y'all was here from the beginning of it. Chris, Bunny, Roshan, Watts, Tron, Rasta. I saw who was that? I saw a new Sanzu. I never seen you in here before. I appreciate you for commenting. Did I miss anybody else? Sandra came through. I appreciate D Nice. Everybody. Chris, I think I said your name, but yeah, if I didn't, I'm gonna say it again. But yeah, man. I appreciate y'all on this impromptu stream. I usually don't stream on Sunday evenings, but I did today. Got to work tomorrow. Don't get Labor Day off. Hope y'all enjoy y'all Labor Day, man. But until next time, y'all, made this point stream. Make sure you leave a like, comment, sub. If not one, then all three. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Peace.